Hello, everybody, and welcome to GameList for March of 2024. My name is Jake. I am here with Kaulin. Kaulin, what's poppin', homie?
Corn.
Oh my god. And we have a special guest, a returning guest, CaptainStubs. You're officially our number one most frequent guest. How does it feel?
That's true.
You know what? I feel like I just have that title at a few podcasts.
You're making the rounds?
Yeah, well, I really like guesting on podcasts because so many of my friends have amazing podcasts to be on. I love the thoughts behind so many shows. GameList is great because not having to argue about your goatee at the end of the year is just genius.
It is
It's really good.
We do
But,
our best
no,
to
it's-
honor you.
Thanks so much for having me back on. I love coming on here, so it's great.
A pleasure. Open door policy. Come back whenever you want. It's nice to get an extra voice in here, so it's not just Colin and I berating each other all the time. Despite not arguing about our game of the year, we argue about everything else. But I got to eat some words this month, that's for sure. Either way, this is a podcast about our game of the year, 1 month at a time. You know what to do if you're listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe. If you're listening to us on Spotify or your favorite podcast app, give us a rating. Make us look good. Find us on another platform. Come say hi on stream. There's links below. You're an adult. I'm not going to do all the pitches. Stubs, real quick 30 to 15 second pitch. Where can the people find you at the top of the show?
The Friendly Fire Pod on YouTube and Twitch. Those are the big places.
Hell yeah. Easy as that. See? Get that out of the way, and now you get 2.5, 3 hours of us just talking video games, baby. All the housekeeping is done. And let me tell you, I want to hop right into things. Colin, do we have any housekeeping besides that? Am I being too brash, or can I just start talking about Final Fantasy?
No, I think you can go right into it. I think we're good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I beat Final Fantasy. The game came out 8 days ago, and I beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And I know that I'm a hyperbolic person, but I do feel like I just beat my favorite game of all time.
You don't think there's any recency bias in that?
There's a little bit of recency bias. But I am telling you, I had the time of my life playing this video game. Also, don't worry about spoilers. 100% spoiler free. I want to actually talk a little bit about how seriously I took spoilers for this game, because I have never protected myself like I did for this. I muted terms. I unfollowed people on accounts. I unfollowed subreddits. I got rid of all of my interaction with the Final Fantasy like Instagram accounts, Twitter accounts, any of the Square Enix Twitter accounts. I put my chat on follower only mode, like alienated people from my live streamer friends so that I could be pure for this game and just mainline it. And for better or worse, I found it very, very worth it. So let me ask you guys, have you played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth?
I have.
I have not.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Colin, how far into it are you?
See, that's a sad thing. I think my gameplay clock was right under 6 hours last time I saved.
Okay.
I just started chapter 3. I kind of rushed through the first open world area because I'm overwhelmed by it. I think that's my only issue with the game thus far is I'm overwhelmed by it, and every time I sit down, I'm like, I want to play a game, and I think about playing Rebirth, I get a little nervous, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to play Helldivers instead. I definitely, like, I kind of miss the linearity of the first game just off the rip. Like, I love open world, but I miss, like, the clear direction you had for the first game. But again, I'm 6 hours in. That's barely a drop in the bucket for this game, so I have no final judgment to pass for it. I'm enjoying my time with it. I'm just overwhelmed.
Your concerns are reasonable, as it is a very overwhelming game. And I must say that the way that I played this game was, I think, kind of interesting, and I would probably advise against it. But it's an interesting game for who I am as a gamer, I would say. Because if you listen to this show, if you're familiar with me at all, or you watch my streams, I very much prefer a linear game. So on paper, Final Fantasy VII Remake is way further up my alley in size and scope than Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now, where it gets a pass, obviously, is it's, if you replace like any other game's open world with reward quests that are, instead of you get like some legendary dagger in Assassin's Creed, with you get to have a 3-sentence conversation with Tifa, I'm going to go a little bit bonkers. That's going to drive me to do more side quests than I typically do, just because I have an affinity for these characters that I've been with for 28, 29 years now. The thing that I did as far as progression was, I did play the game in a fairly linear fashion with a couple side quests sprinkled in, and because I was streaming the experience, I did a couple off-stream sessions where I would go out and do side quests. That way I wasn't forced to stream 62 hours in 8 days. I streamed 50 hours, but those 12 hours of side quests were a nice way to kind of spice it up. The thing is, though, is that I got to recommend that you play this game at your leisure and at your own pace, because it's a game that is begging to be explored and lived in. And I think your experience will be better if you do spend your time kind of 100%ing, or at least digging into the stuff that you're interested in this game and not trying to beeline the story. I was so paranoid about spoilers that I did jump into it, really in a really strong way. And I don't regret it, just because of who I am. And I'm going to revisit this game multiple times. I mean, Remake has been out for 4 years and I've beat it 4 times. So it's one of those games that I will have different playthroughs of. I'll get to that stuff eventually. I just wanted to make sure I got those big story beats. But what it really ended up being for me is I ended up 100%ing the first half of the game or so, and then at a certain point the story picked up in such a way that I started to be less inclined to go and spend time doing side quests when I could be doing things that were to me more interesting, progressing the story and finding out what happens next, or where we're going, or what we're doing. I hope that in time, Colin, I know it'll take you a long time, Stubs, if you ever do it, or if we find some other guests that are interested in doing so, I would love to talk in depth with this game and be able to talk with spoilers on the table, just because there's so many things that I want to talk about, so many intricacies. I could sit here for 45 minutes and talk to you guys just about the music of this game, which, for the record, one of the best soundtracks of all time.
So
once
good.
again,
If you want a spoiler cast, I know people who would probably be interested.
That is, I will honestly take you up on that, because at this point I am just like, I feel like I'm in a top percentage of people that have actually rolled credits on the game, so can even speak knowledgeably about like the endings. And
it might be a week or two before they're done, but they'd be interested.
Yeah,
I don't know that
for sure.
it,
but that's what I mean, is like, I'm just like foaming. Like, I need to get things off my chest. I've made like bespoke YouTube content that I can just put out there into the ether alone, just so that I can have like a outlet in which to talk about what transpires in this game. It's really tough. We've talked so much about trying to review and spend time on games that are so good that you start finding issues in deducting from their 10 out of 10 score, as opposed to a game that's so okay that it starts at a 0 and you start giving it points for things that it does well. So I'll ask Kaulin, you got some nitpicks with this thing?
I do, actually. So a couple of my nitpicks, the graphics fidelity is rough. Like, on performance mode, if you're playing at 60 frames, it looks rough. And I feel like it's one of those games where I'm sitting there and I'm like blinking. I'm like, why are my eyes blurry? But it's just the game. It's just the game being very blurry. And like Digital Foundry did a breakdown and everything of it. And it's definitely a preference thing. Like, if I wanted higher fidelity, I could go over to the fidelity mode, but I like the frame rate. I just wish they had a better medium in there. Like, I always look to Horizon Forbidden West as possibly one of the best looking games, in my opinion, that had a flawless 60 frame mode. That's one of my bigger complaints, which it'll get patched up in time and it'll be fine. And I guess just really, like, they needed a better tutorial almost, because these gameplay systems are very deep, and I felt like every time I was doing anything right at the start of this game, I was being bombarded with massive blocks of text telling me how everything works, and that's great. I get it. You have to have it, but it's like so just overwhelming. Like, again, the feeling I feel most with this game is just being overwhelmed. And if I'm comparing this game to Final Fantasy 16, the first 5 to 6 hours, I think I am leaning Final Fantasy 16. Just in terms of how smooth it was to get into that game, and it just like took off running. And it's also, I don't have nostalgia with this, so if you have nostalgia, you're gonna power through all this.
Yeah,
But
Cowgirl Tifa L plus ratio.
Cowgirl Tifa was good.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I like Cowgirl Tifa, which actually you remind me of one of my main complaints with this game. Right off the rip, they make you fight flying enemies, and I hate flying enemies in this game. They suck. They're bad. They're not fun to deal with at all. And then I really hate the sections of this game where they purposefully slow you down. Right in the demo area, like the very intro area, there's a moment where you are like limping, and I felt like I was limping for 20 minutes. But you know,
there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of like a crawling thing that is a little long in the tooth as well.
Yeah.
At some points, and that's repeated throughout the game, in fact. But a small nitpick there.
Exactly.
Touching on the air combat thing, because that's something that came out in remake as well, was kind of like a sore point. I will say that they definitely stick the landing on it this time around, because they kind of use it as like a mechanic. They make it a pain in the dick to do air combat with a good amount of characters, so that when you have a character that has the ability to, so basically like your flying enemies are supposed to be a pain, and then you have ways to take them out. Easiest way, ranged character, right? You grab Aerith and you shoot magic shots, or you shoot them with gun hand as Barret. But then there's also ways where you have characters that have things that they can do, like you can use Tifa's whirling uppercut to get up to the enemies, and once you're in the air, you can then maintain your altitude in the air and attack them. There's also like new moves that have to do with flying enemies or ground enemies, where you can either have them hit the ground or knock them up into the air, so that you can do different things with them. And then also Yuffie, baby,
I haven't made it that far yet with her.
Well, here's the thing: is like talking about just like mechanics that existed in Intergrade, not a spoiler, because this is a game that's been out for a couple of years now. Yuffie is obviously a part of this video game, and Yuffie's kit, the way that it works, is incredibly convenient. And I ended up playing this game start to finish with Yuffie in my party every single time I had an opportunity to do so. So for the most part, my team was Cloud, because I'm a protagonist boy. I like to have the main player character as my. Are you like that, Stubs? Do you kind of like subscribe to? Yeah, there are people that are, I think, psychopaths that will just like yank Chrono out of their party and Chrono Trigger. I'm like, bro.
Yeah, I agree.
You're gonna do all freaks,
weird.
bro.
Yeah,
I can't do it. So Cloud, Best Girl Tifa, and Yuffie, and then sometimes, depending on like if I needed like a healer or something, Aerith subbed in every once in a while, or just variety to like mess around with the new characters, which we'll get into on like a spoiler cast.
Yeah, and
go ahead, Kaulin.
My complaints are just, they're very surface level so far, because I haven't dug very deep into the game. I just entered chapter 3, which I think I'm leaving the first open world area and about to get to another. I'm not sure. I think I've just hit like a more linear area bridging the two or something like that. But my things that also another thing on the, if you're watching the video version right now, where you have to push that stupid vacuum, I hated that. It was so bad.
There's a couple things like that. That's not the only time you have to do that exact mechanic, and then there's also like some just RPG dungeon type shit. Like, hey, here's the puzzle mechanic for this. It's a gameplay variety, but it's something that is worth talking about. Did you have a point to elaborate on, or can I kind of jump off of that a little bit?
I was about to go into a more positive direction.
Let me snag the annoying mechanic there and kind of follow up on what a lot of people are talking about, and something that I think goes hand in hand with it is that it's not all sunshine and butterflies with this game. Like, there are low points like that, or things that aren't as fun as other things, but where it really shines, I think, is variety in that. So whereas this is annoying to do like the vacuum valve thing in that there might be a mechanic that's similar where you have to like hit switches, 12 chapters into the game, whatever, and that is just kind of like, I gotta do more of these switches in another room with 3 switches instead of 2 switches, that kind of thing, which I think comes up in every game. You're gonna have some things that are more fun to do than others, but this game really embraces it. I'm gonna try to put a number on this. I would say 20 different types of like pretty intricate mini games in this game that all figure into like the main story plot points. Like, you're gonna have to do them all basically once at some point. Again, some hit more than I would say they hit more than they miss, but every once in a while you get a pretty sore miss in there as well. And I've heard some people complain about that, but either way, not bad. And then to just follow up on the Yuffie thing that I was saying, I just want to talk about how cool this shit is for her. She's a melee character, but she also can do ranged attacks by throwing her Ninja Star. And what's so cool though is that the reason why she's so good for flying enemies is if you throw that fucking Ninja Star, you have the ability to retrieve it and kind of zoom up to where the Ninja Star was. So if you have a flying enemy, where Yuffie excels is you're on the ground, that thing's in the air, you throw the Ninja Star at that thing, you zoom up to your Ninja Star, so now you're on that person's level, you grab your Ninja Star, but because you're still airborne, you can now start your melee combos in the air, which a ground attack is always going to be more efficient and do more damage than a air attack. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds there. It's so fun and satisfying to do. Put Yuffie in your party, gamers.
Yeah, and I really need to spend more time mastering the combat because it is so deep, because you have the ATB gauge that's building up, and when that builds up you can do your special attacks, but to do your special attacks you can either pause the game, pause time pretty much, and then navigate in the menus to press the button, or you can hold L1 and press a face button, and that will correspond to a certain one on like your quick bar. But since you have 3 party menus, if you do L1, press a face button, or no, I'm sorry, if you do L1, press R2, then press a face button, you can do it for a different party member or whatnot. So it's definitely, they're just layering things on top. Like the L1 face button is very similar to Final Fantasy 16 and how they do it, but then layering,
very similar to Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Oh yeah,
and then
Nomura baby.
But like layering it into the other party members as well, I'm just having a hard time wrapping my head around it quickly in combat. So I've just got to spend more time with it. Some other things that I really like about this game. The way they track progression in the open world is wonderful. They make it a really nice checklist. It's like a bar about this long of little bubbles, and every time you do something, it fills a bubble in, and you know exactly how far you are in that area of completing the tasks. And most of them have been very quick and very easy, and just like a very nice filler. And you do get that little bit of dialogue between the characters that I'm always there for. I slow down and make sure that I hear them all the way out before I progress somewhere else. I don't want to cut them off.
Yes, and I think to that point too, with like the side quests, I think this game does a really masterful job of, like, as somebody who hates open worlds, I find that the trappings of open worlds that get me are the ones that are bland, the ones that don't have things to do, where I don't feel rewarded for my progression. I went to this area of the map that I felt like should have a secret, and it didn't have a secret. I think this game knocks it out of the park with that, where if you it's not to Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild levels of, like, if you see a mountain and it looks interesting, then there's going to be something there, like a Korok or something like that. But to the point of, like, if there's a big blurred out section of the map, chances are there's a pinnacle, like, story side quest or some sort of, like, something to investigate that is going to be worth your time to go on. I feel like every corner of the map is used well, and I think they were smart to make it this, like, open zone game as opposed to an open world game where the areas are big, they feel as open as you'd like them to be, but they aren't trying to fill void space between towns and make this thing lead to that thing, so there's no real annoyances like that. I think it's pretty elegantly done. And like you were saying with the tutorials earlier on, I wanted to touch on that, and it's just going to turn into me, like, defending things basically, but for the most part I agree with you on the tutorials. And, like, even now 62 hours into the game, rolling credits, if you put a gun to my head and said explain how the synergy system works, I would say, yeah, sometimes I have it and sometimes I don't. Like, I truly have no fucking idea how I do that. I think like some moves, like proc I don't know, some meter.
I don't know.
It's a whole situation.
I have no idea.
But it's very good. And let me just, like, I don't want to spend too much time because, again, I could fill 3 hours talking about this game, and you can hear it probably in my voice that I'm willing to keep going and going and going on this. But obviously the thing that this does the best is there is no game, and even with my bias and how much I like these characters, I don't think there are better written games that do characters and interaction between characters and display interpersonal relationships between a colorful cast like this game does. I think it's absolutely fucking insane.
I love how you said, I don't want to sound biased, and then said the most biased sounding thing you could ever say.
No, I don't think so. I think it's like ground level. Like there's other casts of characters that do the same thing, and I'm not saying nobody gets close. Like the Persona games and all of their, like, intricate situations that they have between all their characters are pretty impressive and whatnot. But there is something about like the actual written dialogue, how sharp and quick and witty it is, in addition to the facial animations, like the body language that's displayed in this game. There are facial expressions in this game that when things happen that are emotionally like resonating for a character, you see it on their face. You know, there are points when like I'm gonna stop there, but it's truly fucking incredible.
One thing I don't get about you is you love this game and all that stuff, and it's just super. It's anime as hell, and you don't like anime.
I know,
but everything about it is anime as hell, and it's like.
I know.
Yeah.
Comment in the YouTube comments. What anime should I watch? I'm down.
I've got 2 questions, or maybe 1. Okay. I don't know.
These 2. I want to talk more.
You've replayed Remake multiple times. Do you see yourself replaying this multiple times? Like I'm
already playing it again.
It's a much bigger bite to chew, you know. So.
Yeah. What was nice was that progressing through it for the first time, I felt like I got everything out of it that I needed. I got those big story beats out of the way. I was terrified of just seeing like a 1-sentence spoiler, which there is like multiple just individual sentences you could say to ruin the ending of this game. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of thing that I feel like I could stumble upon on like a Twitter post or just like the wrong Reddit thread or some asshole in the YouTube comments, like could ruin a thing like this for me. So I pushed through it knowing that I would be back to it. And because of that, I feel like I got what I wanted out of it, but I desire more. And I can think of nothing more pleasing than to have a game I can spend more time in. I mean, I exhausted the content that was available to me in Remake from a story standpoint. And the fact that there's so much more conversation and relationship building and side quests and lore and weird little interactions. I mean, this game, I gotta say this game's fucking weird, man. Like, This game is so fucking anime and so fucking weird, and it feels more like a Final Fantasy 7, 8, or 9 when they were like super goofy and in their bag and just tons of mini games and just doing bonkers things in their story that are just like outrageous and over the top. Like Final Fantasy 7 Remake really felt like those like first couple dates, you know, where you're like putting on the best version of yourself and you're being accurate, you're not being a scumbag and hiding who you are, but you don't get like the real like goofy side of you until you're a few months into that relationship, right? Sure. So Final Fantasy 7 Remake, they showed you the most normal version of a Final Fantasy 7 video game, and in Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth they are letting it all hang out. This game does wild things. Very, very well done and like elegantly, and it's crazy that this game can be as like absurd as it is and still be as emotionally resonating as it is.
So I guess my last question is, when you go back to play, when you get the hankering for more Final Fantasy 7, are you coming back here or are you going back to Remake? Or both? Rebirth for a
long while. A long while. I think I likely probably will play. My cadence will probably be I'll do like another like. I'm probably gonna round out the save file that I'm on. That's what I'm doing right now. Is I'm kind of going back and like let's do the side quest that I missed. Let's go explore and unlock the maps that I missed. And I'll probably complete that within the next month, right? And then I won't touch it for a while. Then I'll do another playthrough at some point in the next year or so that will be very, very intricate, where I will go through the story and do the side quest at the same time. I will exhaust that game for all it's worth, and then I will probably do a full Remake and Rebirth playthrough that's a little bit more linear, probably on stream leading up to the release of the 3rd, if I were to guess.
Yeah, cool.
I love it. It's a 10 out of 10. I know that I'm hyperbolic oftentimes, and I even say that I'm hyperbolic oftentimes, but I think that this might be my favorite game. I do think it's a 10 out of 10. I recommend it. I don't recommend it. They've done like the marketing for this. Have you guys seen them saying like it's a great starting point for Final Fantasy fans, old and new? It's like, fucking not.
It's horrible. It's a terrible starting point. Like starting it's a horrible starting point. Like it made me wish I had a replayed Remake right before this, but yeah.
Final Fantasy 7 Remake isn't even a good starting point for Final Fantasy fans. Go play Final Fantasy 16. Like,
honestly, yeah.
I really feel honestly that like, especially with like the implications of remake story, and not to go into like too many spoilers, but it not being like a very faithful remake in its own right, I think is reason enough not to even recommend that. Like, I can't recommend, at least if you go back and play remake, go watch. I know that it would fuck things up and people are weird about spoilers for this game since it's a remake and we play it close to the vest, and I'm not spoiling or anything like that, but I would recommend, if you're not going to play Final Fantasy VII, go watch the full synopsis of Final Fantasy VII. It takes nothing away from the experience. Nothing. In fact, it's beneficial.
I just realized something about looking at this key art and looking at some gameplay. It just made something click in my head that I'll have to message you about after this, because now I'm curious. But anyways.
Yeah, really good game is absolutely insane. It goes without saying that it's my game of the year, and I can't imagine anything toppling it unless we get a surprise drop of Kingdom Hearts 4. It's just too important to me.
It's fair.
All right.
Yeah.
Stubs, we invite you onto this podcast, and then I rant for 35 minutes about Final Fantasy VII. We're going to give you a shot, though. We're moving on to Helldivers, baby. Helldivers II.
This is a lot of shots, bro.
I mean, it's honestly insane, the story of this game, and I have to own up to being so fucking wrong last month, but I'll do that in a little bit. Let me hand it over to you guys who are way further into Helldivers 2 than I am.
You want to go first, Kaulin?
What's going on?
Oh, you take it away, man. Take it away.
Helldivers 2 is hands down my GOTY of the year, and I really don't foresee anything taking it away from me at this point. It is so good. They do everything right that you want a sequel to do, as someone who put a lot of hours into the first game solo, because I could not get my friends to stick with me for more than 2 or 3 weeks after Sony gave it away for free. They took the vibe and the setting, and they maintained that faithfully. They transitioned well from top down to third person. They maintained the level of chaoticism that the first game has. They maintained the level of managed democracy we need to spread. They've done everything right for a sequel that they needed to. It landed at just the right time in the industry for people. And it's exactly the right type of game for you to get your friends in on, that it got so it's literally the DJ Khaled suffering from success. This game tripled its server size in 2 weeks, and it's still having server capacity issues because it's just got that many people playing it. It's the largest Sony launch on Steam to date. It's past Spider-Man, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, anything else Sony's put on Steam.
2 or 3, right? Like
huge orders of magnitude. It blew their numbers away. It had, so when the game launched, it only had like 260,000 server cap player count, and it seen just on Steam 350 some odd thousand players online at one time. Now, so it really has blown up. Boy does it blow shit up, boys. This game is so good start to finish. Kaulin, what level are you? How much playtime you have? Because I'm level 48. I have a max destroyer. I have every stratagem except the mech suit, because I haven't been able to play the last 2 days since they dropped the mech suit. I've almost maxed out. I'm on the last page for both of the war bonds, but I don't have everything in the war bonds. I've played a lot of this game.
I'm level 29. I've kind of been playing with a co-op partner that doesn't want to go to the higher difficulties. So I'm like, I've got a bunch of playtime, but I think I'm almost at 50 hours of playtime. But I've got a lot of playtime, but not a lot of like rewards for that, just because you have to go to the higher difficulties.
You need those pink samples, bro?
I need the pink samples. I need them.
Hit me up.
I will. I need more war bonds because you don't get enough war bonds at lower difficulties. So I'm about.
Yeah, it's more of a grind.
Best pink sample joke. Go.
Well,
no.
You don't even know where the pink samples spawn.
Yeah, they spawn in a little a little rock that looks like a lollipop or something. I don't know.
So okay, that's the safest for work thing I've heard it described as.
I do have to eat my words because I caved. I was like Foamstars better, bro. Foamstars not better. Helldiver is much better. And I was saying I don't see people spending $40 on this, and I have been so wrong this year, bro. I've been so wrong. I'm off my fucking game. I was right about Final Fantasy. So wrong about Helldivers. So wrong about Foamstars and probably will be wrong about other things too.
Dude, not only
wrong
like
about banishers, it seems like.
Yeah.
Not only are people willing to spend 40, it like came out and made a statement in the industry like, hey, $40 can turn a profit.
Yeah.
Like games don't have to be huge, sprawling, overexpansive, gigantic pieces. They can just be small things and be really fun to play with your friends repeatedly.
And I think that's one thing that this game does well is it's a good game. Like it is well polished, but it's not polished to the point of like sterility. Like you get weird and funny bugs and you get thrown across the map from explosions and just dumb stuff happens. Their physics, the physics engine in the game is phenomenal when you go flinging across and bouncing off of walls. Like nothing beats blowing the legs off of your partner whenever you call in a stratagem and they don't know it and then they just freak out. It's like this is like a role-playing simulator. It is amazing. And the higher difficulties are so fun because it just becomes like so much more chaotic.
Have you played all the difficulties, Kaulin?
I unlocked Suicide Mission. No, I unlocked Impossible last night or the night before. I've not gone all the way up yet. But yeah, that's mainly my problem is I've been playing with one person more than... I have a couple different like groups that want to play, but the one that I play with the most wants to stay at like 4 at the max. So I'm kind of like... I'm kind of neutered on getting a lot of progression, but I do have the platinum for this game. I got the platinum for this game.
Oh, same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got every achievement.
It's great.
I've got it on PC, so I don't have the platinum.
Yeah,
but
yeah, close enough. We'll count it. It's a PlayStation.
My big reveal is that I ate my words so hard about this. I said I don't think people are going to spend $40. I don't think people are going to get their friends to spend $40. Is that I did spend my $40 and I've put 7 hours into the game. I like it, and I also got my 3 best gaming homies to also spend $40 and buy it with me, and I really love it. And I just I don't have much to say that you guys won't say. I've played it obviously less because I'm only playing it in that group, and we only game together like once a week or so. Also, I don't know. I was like busy with some game for 8 days and 62 hours or something. Something happens. But can we just talk about calling in those stratagems and how fucking cool it feels to fucking hold the button and hit the button input? It's so good.
It's so much better than any other video game that just says hit this button or hold this button to get a radial or hit this 2-button combination. No, you have to, and like the way you get good at your stratagems that you use regularly just feels so good.
Yeah, so if you haven't played Helldivers, the way that you call them in is like you hold down a button and you're essentially you get like a little like D-pad input. So if you want to call in like a cruise missile, it might be like up down left right. And then if you want to call in,
if you want to call in the Eagle 500 kilogram bomb, it's up right down.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have these little things that you need to like not memorize. You can read them and input them, but there is a obvious benefit to being able to like rattle that off and enter it in quickly. So like it is almost like a test of like skill when it's like you and one homie that are left and you want to call in reinforcements to bring your buddies back who can get it off quicker. Like it's very, very nice.
It's the Elden Ring argument. People say about those very difficult games that like you feel yourself getting better. And that's something that's very tangible in Helldivers that you feel yourself getting better at and makes an impact in your gameplay and the difficulty of game you can play at and on. Also just like the variety of stratagems there's in this, and this is as this game launches, the last game got dozens and dozens of DLC packs, all exceptionally reasonably priced. Also, you can find the currency while you play the game. Like you never have to. I have a friend who did not buy the premium edition of this game, just bought the base game. And while he has played probably the highest hour count of anyone on my friends list, he has bought the premium pass and every single armor that showed up in the store and still has spare super credits left over. So like it's plentiful. It's not like they're hiding it.
This is the
so cool.
like only game I've ever seen that you can earn the premium currency just by exploring the world and finding it. It's like if you were playing Fortnite and you found V-Bucks in a chest. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it doesn't. There's a few things I really like. I think this game finds like a really good balance that gamers talk about. Like realism is a thing we talk about a lot in our games. I think this game finds the right balance for shooter realism.
Yep.
The weight of the guns is like mirrored very well in the third person reticle, having the little round reticle that kind of moves where the barrel is, but having your actual center reticle where you're aiming. I think I've never been more accurate in third person, like laying down 150 rounds of LMG suppressive fire with that.
Yep.
Magazines, obviously, I think it's something everyone noticed immediately. If you throw that magazine away with ammunition, you lose that ammunition. We've all gotten much better about our Call of Duty compulsive reloading because of this game.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And I think the sense of community obviously is something they're striving for, having that liberation progression that the community is all fighting together. It's obviously there's games that have community aspects, there's MMOs, but the way it's handled here feels very unique to the industry. There's a lot of things that like combine inside of Helldivers to make it something that like feels very similar to a lot of games we played, but really is its own thing in so many different ways.
Yeah. And like in Destiny, I've never felt like a team of Guardians. I never felt like the entire like player base of Guardians were actively fighting against the Witness, you know. But in this, I feel like all of us are actively on the war front, fighting and pushing and adding a little percentage to that counter.
Hey, 6 months ago, you two were head over heels for Destiny. Are you both not playing Destiny actively?
It's been a dry season.
It's also been a twice as long season, so it can we can take our sweet time getting it done.
Yeah.
But classic.
But Helldivers, why did you interrupt me to insult Destiny, bro?
I will take any shot that I can.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Bungie on a 10-year quest to fuck up their own game.
That's also fair.
All right.
The friendly fire damage is always hilarious when you kill your teammates, if you run in front of your turret. And then just the fact that, like, I don't know. I just like lost my my train of thought.
Can I go off? Let me go off on the friendly fire thing. Like the cool like emergent gameplay type situations that you can find yourself in because of the friendly fire is really funny. I had this like So I did this thing. My first like early unlock when we all started to have like some freedom in the squad was like I got this like eagle maybe cluster. I mean, I want to say
the cluster bomb murders everybody.
You call in a thing and it's like it's like lit up like the fucking 4th of July. It's so fucking cool, and it's got a really wide spread. Doesn't do like huge damage, but gets like everything in a big area, and it's a really cool visual. And at the end of every match we were extracting, I would, if I had one left, I would throw it right as I got onto the helicopter, and then as we were taking off, you would see like the fireworks basically go off right as I dropped it, which was really funny. And I did that every time for like 3 or 4 games. And then in one game, as we were extracting, I pulled it out and I called it in. I had it in my hands and I was about to throw it and I got fucking headshotted. And I dropped it out of my hand because it was already procced, which means the entire firework cluster went off at my feet before my buddies extracted. So we only extracted. I died and killed 2 people with my cluster bomb, and then 1 person extracted. So we got some credit, but overall, I certainly died for the bit and killed some homies for the bit, and it was not worth it.
Stuff like that is like every match. Every match, something crazy like that happens. Like we had one match where, very similar to that, we would always call in our 500 kilogram bomb on our exit. And I had a friend that put his shield up, like there's like a dome shield that you can put up, and he put it up right where the chopper landed, or whatever you want to call it. And we called in a 500 kilogram bomb, and I was just chilling, like looting stuff. So he called in his 500 kilogram bomb, and I jumped on the ship, and a split second before I jumped on the ship, you saw the casing of the 500 kilogram get lodged into the side of the shield. And like, it was the best timing on anything I've ever seen. We have the video of it saved. I wish I could pull it up right now, but it was like perfect comedy gold of me midair diving when the casing lands into the shield and just obliterates everything. And somehow I made it on the ship. But that's another thing about this game is it doesn't punish death like other games do. You have like a bank of revives where you have 20. So I think there's 5 per person that's in your match.
Mhm.
So
Correct.
if you've got a 4-player,
You can modify that with boosters at late game. I've seen as many as
Yes.
24 revives, but
that's
continue.
right. Yeah.
Cool.
But it's great because it's not like, oh, if you die, you can only be revived once. One person could eat up 20 of those revives. Or, you can spread them between the team. Or, like, if you're a good team, you don't really use that many. And you could just have fun. And if you die, who cares? It's 1 off of 20. It's okay to have fun in this game. It doesn't penalize you for doing dumb stuff.
Not only is it okay to have fun in this game, it's encouraged.
Absolutely.
Like, they're constantly giving you the weapons that you don't bring with yourself to call down, scattered all over the map to try new things out.
Yeah.
There's ammo all over the place. There's grenades all over the place. Like, they're giving you enough stuff to encourage you to experiment and have fun. What are some of your guys' favorite stratagems to bring with you? I mean, like, there's so many to pick from.
I like the walking barrage.
How fun was getting the 6 orbital stratagems in one play?
Oh yes, that was great. It literally there was like a giant divot in the ground. There's almost like terraforming. I don't know what you would call it.
I guess it's artillery makes holes, but they actually generate the holes.
Yeah, so there was like a divot in the ground, and sometimes you'll call in a bunch of airstrikes, and you'll end up cutting off like a path that you used to take. So then you'll try to go somewhere and you'll be stuck because the ground is so dug in where you called in so many explosions. It's so fun. And then also the explosions in this game are amazing.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah. And they get
we've all seen airstrikes, but like something about airstrikes and Helldivers.
Yes. There's the 500 kilogram bomb, the hell bombs that you call in, or you can find them scattered around the map.
The mini nukes and the artillery and the ICBMs. Like having the whole.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like the Tony Stark like shockwave in Iron Man 1, where it just like pushes through the map and has a loud clap. It's so good.
And game adjacent, just the memes, the amount of Malevelon Creek and Joel memes we have gotten.
Yep. Malevelon Creek.
And I think just like to expand on that, like its social media presence as well. Like what's really interesting is like, and this will maybe start to segue us into the Foamstars conversation too, or at least loop it in here. Like this game was almost like set up for failure. I think that I am like a good indicator of like where the market was trying to like push us pre Helldivers and like pre-February, essentially. Like Helldivers was anticipated by a small number of people. It was on the radar of people, and I think it had some good showings when it did pop up and whatnot, and some solid trailers, but it was getting basically no push from Sony. There was no standalone state of play for this game. It was such a perfect game to put on like PlayStation Plus front and center, and instead Square Enix, I mean, let's be honest, probably the Square Enix exclusivity and the Foamstars drop was part of a bigger overarching deal that has to do with Final Fantasy 16 and VII Rebirth. And they say, if you take those, will you take Foamstars and put it exclusive on your platform and push it out in this way for our free-to-play monetization to come through and make us a little cash on the side, that kind of thing. But for all intents and purposes, it seems like the popularity of this game has been mostly done by its fans. It's been taking the reins on social media as these little viral clips of like funny gameplay moments.
Past that, I want to point out, I think obviously this game's had server issues. They didn't appear until 3 days after launch, which I think does point to advertising being through fans, right? Because it took
Word
3 days for people to tell their friends, no, you need to pick this up. It's that good.
Yep.
Yeah, that's another good one. Is like, I am so fucking hype pilled and like content creation pilled all the time, where I'm constantly trying to like, hey, this game comes out at midnight, we're gonna stream it at midnight. Today's launch day for Fortnite Season 2, we're gonna stream Fortnite launch Season 2. And I missed this. Like I was, again, you guys can listen to the last episode to see where I was at on Helldivers. And it takes a lot for me to, especially after I miss a release date. I think a lot of people have this hang up with like Nintendo games, right? Like it pains somebody to go and buy Mario Kart 8 7 years after its release for $59.99. Like a full price game that's been out for that long starts to feel bad. For me, it's compounded, where if I miss a game's release and now we're 2 weeks later and I'm not going to get content out of it, I'm hard pressed to go buy it for full price. With this, I was like, fuck, man, I've avoided it. It was like 2 weeks after its release, and then I still coughed up the 40 and went in for full price. There is something about it. They're getting people.
Yeah, and
it's worth it.
We haven't even really talked about the enemy factions in this game and how differently they force you to play. Like currently there's the bugs and there's the automatons. and the way they interact with the player forces you to play completely differently between the two. The automatons, it feels like that scene in Attack of the Clones where it is foggy and all you see is the lasers coming through. And there are moments in this game where you feel like you are actually in war with thousands of bolts whizzing by your head. And then in the bug fights, you're mostly on the run, just trying to train them appropriately. But it really pushes like differences in gameplay style. And they're both enjoyable in their own right. And I can't wait till they add the Illuminate, because that's going to be really fun as well.
I wouldn't. So that was the third race from Helldivers 1. As we all know, the Super Earth Ministry of Truth would never lie to us. The Helldivers completely eradicated the Illuminates from the galaxy and the Galactic War, just pushed them out. So they've been gone for 100 years, not to return. Of course, we won't see. There'll be a different third race coming back. Obviously, we can trust the Ministry
What are
of
they
Truth.
like physically?
They're like high tech.
There's a lot of very high tech. I would say like their lowest level stuff is drones. Like in the first game, they had like these little like eggplant size, probably bigger than that, but kind of shaped drones that would fly around. But then they'd have these guys in like hover pods that would have like hypnosis attacks that would reverse your controls and very odd high-techy stuff. They were my least favorite enemy to fight in the first game because they were so fucking hard to deal with solo. Again, I played solo mostly, so like bugs were the things I could handle the most. But I was doing the highest difficulty content solo in the bug missions in Helldivers 1. So like I understand how chaotic that first game got, even though I only played solo, and they really fucking nailed it. Obviously we've been talking very heads over heels. The community has been back and forth, as any video game community has been. This is a game that's going to be, a very living. They're constantly, they want to bring out more equipment and stuff with war bonds every second Thursday of the month. The dev team's been very open and transparent, talking about the nerfs and buffs they've did for weapons and different gear. When there was a very clear meta. I don't know if any of you were aware of it. But I have 80 railgun, shield backpack, and the breaker shotgun. Like there was a large chunk of the community. Well, I don't know about large. There was a chunk of the community though that was kicking people for not bringing that loadout. Like if you didn't have that loadout, you were not being joined. You're immediately kicked from quick play. I think personally, the nerfs they brought were very reasonable. The railgun has a safe mode and an unsafe mode. They nerfed the safe mode. It still does all the things it used to do in unsafe mode. The breaker just got a little bit more recoil, a few less rounds per magazine. The shield backpack got a longer delay. So I don't think they were like game breaking on those pieces of equipment. They were balancing, and they buffed several other things to compensate for that. But they've also talked about looking at enemy spawn rates and armor health and overall health. And I do think some of those things need a tweak. I found myself a number of times, running from 4 or 5 chargers in circles while I wait for ammo or for something to recharge or waiting for a stratagem to cool down. This game's great. I'm not going to stop playing it. It's probably going to have 200 or 300 hours by the end of the year, easy.
Same.
But it's definitely evolving.
Yeah. Speaking of evolving, perfect segue into like a question that I have for you guys about this game. And do you think that they've shot themselves in the foot a little bit, saying that all of these like content updates are going to be free?
No.
Going forward,
I don't think they said all of them are going to be free.
Which content? I think planets will be free, but war bonds will be paid for. But they've said reasonably priced. So all of the DLCs from the first game were $3, $5, or $10. My imagination would say a 10-page war bond is going to cost us $10, a 5-page war bond is going to cost us $5, and a 3-page war bond is going to cost us $3.
Yeah, and
that makes sense. Then.
Seems very reasonable.
War bonds are the battle passes.
The war bonds are the battle passes, and the good thing about them is they never run out. It's not time-based. So you can buy any of them at any time you want, and you can progress on them at your own leisure. So you use the same currency to progress on all the war bonds. So you have the one that you get with the base game, and then you have the 3-page Steeled Veterans one. That's
the first deluxe premium one. So if you bought with the deluxe edition, you would have it, or it's I don't know how much it is. I could ask my buddy.
I think I'm gonna be honest. I think it was $10 for 3 pages.
Oh, really?
I think it was because I ended up buying it because I bought the physical edition, and then I ended up buying the battle pass for 1,000 super credits. But then I was like, well, dang, I didn't get the special armor with that. So then I spent another $10 to get the deluxe edition. So I just kind of wasted money on it, but I don't care because it's a great game. But
it's a good game.
Yeah,
and
nice
then
to support. So
one last thing on like the weapon balancing, at least based off the first patch, a lot of the things that Bungie does, which really annoys me when they patch stuff, is they just nerf it into the ground. They didn't do that with this. All of the weapons are still perfectly viable. It was possibly like the most balanced patch I've ever seen. It made everything's perfectly viable, and it made things that were less good more viable now. So
the buffs they gave out, well, the buff for the flamethrower is really good, and the buff that they forgot to mention on day 1 but remembered to mention on day 2 for the EAT and the recoilless rifle, it's very good. That they don't have 50% damage reduction on glance shots now off of armor, so that's huge on those rockets. Yeah, they forgot to mention that in the patch notes.
Wow, that's really nice. Yeah,
it's big. One tiny thing in this game, back to the realism thing, crew reloading. Why can't I reload my friend's rocket launcher in more video games?
Yeah, that's true.
Please and thank you.
Yeah, topping off your
it's
friend,
so good.
dude, is so good.
Makes for this game. Last thing for me, filled with cinematic moments. I can't tell you how good it feels to reload the rocket into your friend's rocket launcher that kills the bug 3 feet from where you're kneeling.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's sick. Now Sony, I think, obviously they're going to be reasonable. That's the thing that they've shown off, and that's like the one thing that I just want to touch on too, is that even when you look at their like premium shop, everything is so reasonably priced. I come from the world of like $13 skins minimum on Fortnite, and they have so many like $2 or $3 pieces of armor that are like, and that's if you don't use the in-game currency. Now, granted, as well, like you got to understand that like it's great that you can find that currency in the game, but also we paid $40 for it. We're not finding V-Bucks in chests because Fortnite is free to play. You could potentially get in there. You know, there are people that are spending money on it. Obviously, millions of people.
But I would say the potential time investment, you're gonna like you could earn your $40 worth in Helldivers way quicker than you would buying things. Yeah.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. But now that Sony has something that's like arguably like Fortnite adjacent, like they have something that they can now kind of use. I think what's been the most popular in things like Apex and Fortnite over the past couple of years has been these like big collaborations, and we've seen, you know, even Sony play ball and put Kratos into Fortnite. We've seen a pretty big collaboration with Destiny, which is now like, is Bungie second party, or are they just straight up first party?
They're first party.
Yeah,
they're just straight up first party. Well, nonetheless, we've seen a couple collaborations. They had Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, and Horizon all pop into that game.
Yeah.
I have a 3-part question, and I'm going to write the answers down, and when it happens, we'll see who was right. All right.
Okay.
First, when will we see the first party collaboration drop in Helldivers? The second part, what will that collaboration be? And then as a bonus, what's your dream collaboration? I'll go first. I think it happens before the end of 2024. I think there'll be a really big, like 6 months in influx, and I think that it will likely be God of War again. I think there'll be some sort of themed, like Chains of Olympus, Kaulins, and I don't know. It just seems like their biggest IP at this point.
I'm kind of glad you brought this up, because there's part of me that hopes they don't do any collabs. I love how pure. Obviously, there is a shitload of inspiration from all sorts of sci-fi. Starship Troopers, Star Wars. If you look at the armor, there's a lot of Star Wars inspiration. Terminator inspiration with the bots. Absolutely. There's all sorts of sci-fi inspiration dripping throughout Warhammer 40K. The little skulls on all the Helldiver armor, that is so Warhammer 40K, it's not even funny.
Yep.
But I also like how everything is uniquely Helldivers at the same time. So while I'm sure collabs are going to come just because of how big this game got over the couple weeks it's been out. I hope that they don't just make it so obvious. I hope it's stuff that's Helldivers but inspired. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just be having Master Chief run around or whatever. Like, I don't want direct, straight up skins.
Sure. Yeah,
I agree that it's probably by the end of
ones
the
were
year.
pretty tasteful, right?
Yeah,
like
I think
those
they were
don't
too
really
bad.
stick out.
Yeah, I bought the Ghost of
No.
Tsushima one for my Warlock, and I love it.
Yeah.
I still wear it.
If I played Warlock, I probably would have.
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah.
So, what do you think it will be if there is one, Stubs?
That's a good question. I know the game that came to mind is not the one that will happen. So I know what I want to answer for your last question, and it's Returnal.
Oh yes.
Oh,
yes!
dude, great pull.
Yes.
Yeah, that is the game that should get
Yes,
the first collab
absolutely.
with Helldivers 2.
Dude, and with the story of Returnal, you could totally just drop her in there and be like, oh yeah, she's just actually there, honestly. Like,
and then you get like some of the enemy spawn like fire patterns out of your orbitals and shit. Like, yeah, absolutely. That's the one that should. The one that probably will, you're right. It's going to be something like, well, you already said, let's take
it's probably gonna be.
Well, there's bugs. Spider-Man. No, just
It's not a bad call.
I mean, it's probably gonna be Destiny, right? Like, it makes sense. Like, just armor.
Another dream one. Deep Rock Galactic. There's a huge crossover in the player communities. There's been a lot of solid memes, and I know for a fact the Deep Rock Galactic devs like want
Kaulin's
to. Like,
dream one is Sly Cooper, right?
My dream everything is Sly Cooper, of course. But
he made his way into Ghost of Tsushima.
I think it's true. But I mean, that's the same developer. I think it will be at least a year from launch. So I don't think it will happen within a year from launch.
Okay.
What were the other two questions?
What's it going to be first?
What do you think the first one will be, and what's your dream one?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think the first one will probably be Destiny. I think that's like the easiest one. They're both PlayStation owned IPs. They can have a little crossover there. But what I want it to be, I want it to be Star Wars, but specifically the Mandalorian with his cape flowing and the shiny chrome armor. I would love that. I'd spend $20 on that easily. Yeah. Jetpack.
Go ahead.
You said cape flowing, and it put it into my mind. I know I said like this game nails the vibe and setting, and we talked about like Super Earth and Managed Democracy, but just as like the little touches that this game nails for that vibe and setting, the AC in your ship has got to be pushing like 10 miles a wind because your cape's always flowing, bro. You're in your ship with a flowing cape.
Dude, I wish I had an AC that strong.
I'm gonna give you guys my dream scenario. That's the only one that I didn't answer.
Okay.
Ratchet and Clank, baby. Space suits.
That would be good too.
Could be so cool.
There's
it could be
a
so
lot of
cool, and it could be just a little over the top, and like like when they put the cat ears in Halo.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity here. They made this game, and it is a very blank slate. Like, they could do so much with this game.
My last pitch is Resistance: Fall of Man.
That would work
if they
too.
wanted to do that, here's the thing: is that like Resistance wouldn't like. There's almost zero brand notoriety and loyalty for Resistance: Fall of Man, so you can't be like, here's the new Resistance: Fall of Man collab, and people are gonna be like, oh, I gotta get it. There'll be dozens of us, but it would fit so well, and you could even like if you really wanted to go balls to the wall, and they're supporting this game for years and years and adding races, the Chimera, the enemies from Resistance would fit so well into Helldivers, like it would be a seamless addition.
There's so much that they could do.
Yeah, Killzone kind of fits into that as well. I feel like
I agree. Killzone. I mean, Killzone, Resistance, Returnal, Destiny. I feel like there's a lot they could do with this.
Yeah, there's a lot of first party options.
Yeah,
game's awesome. And Stubs, you said it's your game of the year, Kaulin. Where you at?
It's my game of the year.
Oh yeah. It is. It's on my list. It's my third favorite game. I'm still putting Prince of Persia above it. I think that game is really nice, and then of course my Final Fantasy.
It's fair.
But of course, you guys haven't finished and ranked Final Fantasy, so jury is still out. Maybe it could be your favorite.
It's fair.
Who knows? All right, let's move on to just real briefly. I talked about it. You know what? Foamstars is good. Foamstars is not great. Foamstars. Yep. I liked my time in the beta more than the full game. The full game just felt like another beta weekend to me, and I only played it a handful of times. At this point, here's the problem with Foamstars, and this is what I talked about, was they made a good move in putting it on PlayStation Plus for free, but now that time has come and gone, and this is a $20 or $30 game. on PlayStation Store, and it's only on PlayStation Store. I think that they're going to need to really soon put this game onto other platforms and have some big collaborations and flex their Square Enix stuff. And if you got to get a Cloud or a Tifa skin in there immediately if you want this game to survive, which I don't think it will, unfortunately. Again, I like it more than probably most people, but it just didn't pull me back. I don't want to spend a bunch of time dwelling on it.
I want to talk about it. I played it since the last time.
I did make you pair it.
Yeah, I think it's dog shit. I hate this game. It's miserable. I mean, it's so obnoxious and insulting. We were just talking about how unobtrusive the microtransactions are in Helldivers.
Yeah, dude, they have the $45 bathing suit pack or cheerleader pack.
They have $50 skin packs where you get like a skin, an emote, and like a spray or some dumb shit. This game makes me so mad. I hate it. I hate it. That's all I have to say.
I still like the gameplay, and I gotta say, Kaulin, can you try to help me just like a little bit? That game mode, that one game mode is pretty cool. The way that it goes with like everybody has lives, those lives dwindle down, and then the cadence of the match switches to like a defend the VIP thing.
Yeah, that wasn't bad, but I feel like it just
Can you
doesn't...
think of another game that does it? Because I had a hard time trying to like... Someone's going to steal that and do it really well, and it's going to be an awesome video game.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure like Destruction All-Stars or something did that.
Oh, shit. Yeah, you might be right.
I think... it's been a while though, but no,
that game's not real though. That's
Actually, I think I have a physical.
Isn't that team shut down now?
All-Stars. No, they're still alive, I think.
Oh, didn't they just cancel their Twisted Metal game?
No, that was Fire Sprite. Wait, who made Destruction? Hold on. Now
I believe Fire Sprite.
hold on.
I think everything's a nightmare.
No, it was someone else, right? Destruction All-Stars was Lucid Games. That's right.
Lucid. Shit.
Yeah.
All right. Everything's great over there. Destruction All-Stars, huge success. Okay. Moving on from Foamstars. It's a sore subject, okay? Well, more on Foamstars when the next collaboration drops. Do you guys get a chance to play Mudrunner Expeditions, a Mudrunner game?
Oh yeah, buddy.
I guess I did.
I want to hear your thoughts first, Stubs, because I'll wait. What do you think?
So as someone with like, I don't know, almost 500 hours into SnowRunner.
That's fair.
I and mostly play controller, even though I have a wheel, just because controller's easier. I think they've got a really good controller setup in SnowRunner. I think the controller mapping is very good. They tweaked it in Expeditions pretty immediately. A is not your accept button. A is your handbrake. I can't tell you in 10 minutes how many times I accidentally engaged my handbrake to continue the tutorial.
Yeah, I did have that problem. Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah.
The clutch is on the right side now. Not only does that not work in my brain because the clutch is the leftmost pedal when you're driving a car with a clutch pedal, but I want to have my finger right next to the trigger to immediately get back on the throttle as soon as I'm off the clutch, because I can shift really quick because I have 500 hours into SnowRunner.
Yeah.
And now I can't do that because I have to take my throttle finger away from the throttle to engage, or I have to use my middle finger to throttle, which just does not feel right. That's not how I hold controllers.
Like
no.
Claw method,
yeah,
dude.
no, I can't do that. Basically, I played through the first chunk of tutorial and closed the game because I was just so immediately off put by how much they changed the controller mapping. Things like tedious things that I know are going to get fixed, and I'm sure I can go into the settings and change my controller mapping. I'm sure this is like a me thing that I'm such a veteran for the old ones that the tweaks they made threw me off, and I was just I'm old man, get off my lawn right now. But I like the immediately like being able to adjust the tire pressure and change your traction. That felt good. All the mud still felt fine. Driving the actual vehicle still felt fine. And it looked fine. It's really just the way that they opened up with that control scheme after being a veteran from that first game that just threw me off so hard. So like for the first game, if you were in low gear with your diff lock turned on and you had to go into reverse and you could shift into reverse, it wouldn't kick you out if you didn't disengage the clutch in automatic. It kicks you out now. So like passing through automatic kicks you out of diff lock, even if you're going right into reverse. I had to re-engage diff lock again. There's a lot of like little things, a lot of little quality of life things that did not get cleaned up in the passes before this game launched, basically, that turned me off. And I was, because this also, I tried to play this after a very long day of 2 days worth of inventory work. And I was just like, maybe it was the wrong moment for me to try and get tedious with a new tutorial. And, you know, thought I'd be fine with the tutorial because of how much I've played the previous games. But I pretty quickly went to go play a game we'll be talking about here in a little bit. And I haven't come back to Expeditions yet. So I've got about 10 minutes of playtime. And I'm not happy. But
Kaulin, where'd you land?
So I actually started playing this about an hour ago, or I guess, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours ago at this point. But I got the, where is it? Where's the box? Here we go. I'm a weirdo. I got the physical. Look at that. And the physical was actually $10 cheaper than the digital. It was $50 on the PlayStation Store, but the physical was $40 at Target. So I don't know if there was like a pricing error or what, but I got it cheaper, and my dog is trying to get out. But so I started playing it about, I don't know, 2 hours ago, and I did the tutorial. I did the tutorial in 2 of the first expeditions. So this game kind of breaks it down into expeditions. Stubs, you have much more time in SnowRunner than I do. I have about 20 hours. But from my perspective of a somewhat experienced SnowRunner, but not a very experienced SnowRunner, the control changes were not enough for me to recognize off the rip. I did put my parking brake on multiple times and was stuck. And I was like, why am I stuck? There's nothing here. And it was just the parking brake being on. But there were definitely, this game has a different vibe to it than SnowRunner, at least. I never played Mudrunner, but in SnowRunner, you're in the area. You're in like the starting area, and you just go from A to B to pick up quests. In this game, you pick a expedition from a menu, it drops you into the world, you do that expedition, and then it can pull you out of that world. You don't pick up quests by driving there most of the time. There do seem to be some quests that you can drive to and pick up and do them while you're there, but it will pull you out of the world, drop you into a menu where you can choose what to do next, and it will have 12 expeditions listed for that map. There seem to be, I think I counted 10 maps total. There are 3 different environments. There's Little Colorado, Arizona, and I don't know, New Caledonia or something. I can't remember. And then Arizona and the other place.
That's the place from Chia.
I don't know. I don't know what it's called. It is a place from Chia, isn't it? I was wondering why that was in my head.
Yeah, it's good
it's like a foresty area, so I guess it's not Chia. But each of those areas are broken down into like 4 sub maps that seem smaller than the maps from SnowRunner. But and each of those sub maps has like 6 to 10 expeditions. So this game definitely has more technology than like SnowRunner and stuff. This has like the drone. It has a depth sensor. It reminds me very much of Death Stranding, where you scan and you can see the terrain. The depth sensor is very similar, where it shows you how deep the water is and where you should not go. There's a metal detector that you can use that it kind of points you towards different loot items. And this might have been in the late game of SnowRunner, and I just don't know it. But
well, so the metal detector was in SnowRunner, but it was never used for finding of loot. It was only ever used as like mission objectives, like go to this area to find something, and yeah.
So this one, it started as a mission. I think really it was meant to be a tutorial mission, but it started as a mission. It was like, use this metal detector. A green shows loot red shows new parts and blue shows like repair parts or extra fuel or something. So it led me to like a new suspension for my truck. So it was very interesting to have that. So it's definitely, this game feels more segmented and maybe a little bit more approachable than SnowRunner, but it's also, I jumped into SnowRunner on like year 3. This is the launch of this game, and it feels very bare bones compared to SnowRunner. But honestly, personally, I like that just because it's less overwhelming. But I did just check you're playing it on PC, I'm playing it on console, and I checked the control menu and to check and see if they had other controls. They did have other controls, but it's very odd. You went to the control menu and it has like a drop down of like control scheme A, control scheme B, control scheme C.
Yeah.
They literally only had control scheme A. There were no other options. It was just control scheme A. So it looks like they're going to be adding maybe like legacy options or something, I would assume.
Maybe. I'll have to check on PC at some point. My hope is PC has better mapping, because I mean in SnowRunner I could map every button on the controller for every controller, whether it was the keyboard or my controller or my steering wheel, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And most PC games are like that. So my hope is Expeditions on PC I can I completely remap my controller and just make it SnowRunner in Expeditions. Or as close as I possibly can. I'm sure I'll have to sacrifice a few things.
Yeah.
For sure.
I was about to show my controller to have like just how I was using the paddles for like shifting and whatnot, and then I realized how stained the rubber is versus the plastic, and it kind of looks gross now.
Gross.
It's like over a year old, bro. Okay.
So is mine. Let me show you what a fucking actual
okay.
Game
Yours
Boy
also
with clean
looks
hands
bad.
uses.
No, it's the light. It's the light. Yours are definitely darker as well.
While we're showing controllers, I have probably a controller you've never actually seen before.
Is that a Elite one?
This is a Ghoulie Kit controller. So this is compatible with PC, Switch, and phones. This uses magnets instead of physical potentiometers, so my joysticks will never drift.
Never drift, yeah.
This is a $40 controller.
Damn.
Does it feel good?
It feels really good. It
Well,
feels just like an Xbox controller in the hand.
Oh, see, that's the problem. Is it feels like an Xbox controller.
Oh no, that sounds so nice. As somebody
I grew up as a PlayStation controller lover, but have grown more into the Xbox with bigger hands.
Yeah, you don't want your fucking thumbs pointed down like a goddamn
with this
idiot,
hoe,
dude.
you can take off the little front plate, and then you can replace the joystick.
I know you can. Well, because I don't have a Pro, but I took apart multiple of my DualSenses because I have had stick drift in. I have 5 cases of stick drift in 2 different DualSenses. So I've taken those things apart.
DualSense Edge owner. I have it, and I honestly like, with every passing day I like the DualSense less than the day before. It's too big, it's uncomfortable, there's nowhere to put your hands, these little sticks are sensitive in the back, it's just fucking large, man. I feel sore after using it.
The DualSense Edge is the best controller ever made, and no controller has ever fit my hands as perfectly as this one.
I think the best controller ever made is the Xbox Elite 2, and I've held and used a Pro. I've used just about every controller on the market at this point.
I truly feel like the best controller on the planet right now is just the stock Xbox Series S, Series X controller. Like the one that comes in a billion different colors. You can get it customized. It's got the disc-based D-pad. It is just perfect in the hand. Everything, when I hold it, my fingers just automatically go to the exact correct spot that feels the most comfortable in the world, and there just happens to be all the perfect buttons there.
If you like the Xbox controller, Jake, I really do recommend the Ghoulie Kit for its peace of mind of you never have to think about those joysticks. You'll learn one button combination that like resets the digital programming on them every now and again, because sometimes they don't, as opposite stick drift actually. Instead of starting to move when they shouldn't, they don't necessarily go all the way when you push the stick far. So every now and again you got to hit, it's like hold both bumpers left on the D-pad and hit B, and it just resets the joysticks. But that's it.
I just hit my quarterly controller budget by buying the Oscar Mayer Wiener controller, though. So
it's, next quarter. I've probably spent more on controllers in the last 3 years than I have on consoles in the last 10. That's how many controllers I've bought. I've bought 2 different Xbox Elites. I've bought 2 different
Yeah.
DualSenses. I've got a couple different Xbox controllers. I've got that Ghoulie Kit controller. I've got one from what's the big aftermarket company?
8-bit though.
Scuff.
Scuff. I've had a Scuff PS4 and
Me too.
yeah, I've spent so much money on controllers, and my favorite one is the $40 one from China.
Yeah. Good
Well, if you tune into my Mudrunners stream / VOD, you can hear me talk trash about China in a country role playing accent.
Oh my god, that was tough to watch.
No, I thought it was.
I gotta recommend. I gotta recommend a lot of Kauline streams, but maybe a different one.
I pretended to be
Maybe
some
check out the Final
random
Fantasy VOD.
Southern boy. No, Mudrunners, or I'm sorry, Expeditions was. I enjoyed it. I'll be playing more of it. It's definitely like, I like it because it's just slow and relaxing, in my opinion. Just to chill out and go from A to B. It's a pretty kind of turn your brain off game. So
I've got a game that's fast and anxiety inducing. How's that for a segue?
Yeah,
Easy, slow and relaxing, right?
Yeah.
Fast and anxiety inducing. Any last thoughts on Expeditions?
No.
I will come back
Right.
if you have me on again before the end of the year. I will likely have more positive things to say. That is my last.
I'm sure we
thought.
will. Hell yeah. I've been playing Penny's Big Breakaway. So this is a really interesting game. It is a indie game from the developers who were kind of treated poorly that created Sonic Mania for Sega, and it's their effort at a 3D platformer. This game is super weird. Like, if I had to put a number score on it, I would give this game like a 7.5 out of 10. But for some people, it's going to be like a 6. And for me, it's going to be like a
12.
Well, I don't know. For some people, it's going to be a 6, and for others, it's going to be like a 10. Here's what I'll say, is that at the next GDQ, Summer Games Done Quick, or AGDQ, Awesome Games Done Quick, there is going to be a Penny's Big Breakaway speedrun that probably sells more copies of the game to that community than this game will sell on launch, because this game is a game that is created for speedrunning and for like doing cool locomotion in video games. Where I would put it is like this game lands somewhere between like a Mario platformer and a Sonic platformer. There's like momentum in the game that you can maintain by doing like a series of like pretty intricate button inputs. It's a 3D platformer for people that like to break games like this. I think the thing that it does the coolest has been so far its boss fights, but its main mechanic is you have a yo-yo, and your yo-yo kind of acts as like a momentum of its own. So you have like your player object, which is like you, like your player character that runs around. But then if you swing your yo-yo, that yo-yo will become a spot that you can now pull your character through, and that will add momentum to your character, and you can start rolling on said yo-yo and swinging yo-yo to, you know, different limbs and random shit sticking out. It's a very intricate and hard to control game. I fucking suck at this game. Like, I'm actually embarrassed. And I love 3D platformers, are arguably my favorite genre. Like JRPGs, like Mario 64, Sonic Adventure, among my favorite things. This game should be for me, and it's just a little bit too hardcore and intricate for me, but I think a very cool game. Obviously, I don't think either of you guys have played this, nor will you play it, correct?
Absolutely
No,
not.
but I mean, watching this gameplay footage, I see exactly what you mean about the speedrunning community would fall in love with this.
I think that little thing
They're
looks
gonna
like
go
a freak,
absolutely
man.
bonkers.
They should have made a better
It is
design
certainly
for that
a freak.
character.
I don't care that much, but it's a good game. It's a charming game. It's got an interesting color palette and interesting graphical style. I spent $30 on it. I regret absolutely nothing. I've streamed it once. I'll probably go back to it and finish the game out. It has some really interesting boss fights that I enjoyed, that are doing something like cool and different. I fought this like pool boss, like a game pool, not swim pool, and he was like, he had like a big eye that acted as like the pool balls, and as you hit him, as you did like your current like boss phases where he would like throw a ball at you, you would have to hit it back rhythmically so that it would go so fast that it would bonk him. He would kind of spill his balls onto the ground, and then you had to knock those balls into the pockets on the pool table. It was very cool, very unique. There's just some interesting stuff going on here, but I don't have too much to say about Penny's Big Breakaway. I just wanted to bring it up and kind of let people know where I land on it, because I think we talked about this during either some reaction streams or a previous game list we were talking about it coming up. So check it out. Like, not love. Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones.
That came out.
My copy was provided by Ubisoft. Gotta say that at the top. Ubisoft came through and hooked me up with 3 copies. So I was able to give 2 out to the community. That one of them ended up going to Kaulin via somebody winning who didn't want it.
And let's also just be honest here. I'm probably the best person that this game could have been given away to. I think of all of the giveaways ever made for Skull and Bones, I put the most time into it from winning a giveaway. You know, like nobody else has finished this game. Nobody else that won a code has put as much time into it as I have. I'm currently like 40 to 50 hours in. I can't quite remember, but
That's fucking insane.
I've beaten the story. I've been in the end game grind of Skull and Bones. I'm actually showing my own stream for the gameplay. I got to get those views up. Hey, look, there's me right there. Boom. But I've put a lot of time into this, and it is it's a pretty bad game. But I kind of like it. I've got a friend that plays it with me quite often, and we have been doing the in-game grind, which is it's very odd. I've never played a game quite like it before, so it feels like Clash of Clans in a way. And yeah, the in-game grind almost feels like Clash of Clans, so when you finish the game, you unlock this thing called the Helm, and the game's like 4 hours long. It's not that long. You get this thing called the Helm, and it's pretty much there are 70 different factories across the map that about every 15 minutes you have an opportunity to capture one. So when you capture a factory, it starts producing you this type of income, this type of currency that you then have to go collect and take it back to your base to then stash it. With that currency, you can then create the best ships and the best weapons and crap in the game. And it is a grind. You make like 25 of this currency an hour per factory. And I have like 12 factories, and I had to save up 2,400 of this currency to buy one blueprint. So it's a massive grind where you have to go and connect these supply lines. And if you have 50 of these factories, all you're doing is going from A to B, collecting the stuff and taking it back to your port. If you want to make it a little more challenging but have a little bit of a higher reward, they offer you a double or nothing contract where it puts a target on your head for the entire lobby. But if you make it back to your port in time, to a random port that they assigned you, you get double. If somebody else kills you and takes it, you get nothing. So traditionally, there's not any like PvP in this game unless you enter certain events like that. So you're not just going to go by somebody in the world and start shooting them. It's all like non-competitive unless you enter an event like that, and then they have to click a button to actually enter that event to then come after you. This game is kind of bad. It takes a lot of the good things about Assassin's Creed Black Flag, takes them out and replaces them with boring, repetitive tasks. You can see on the video that I'm playing right now, this is me grinding for a trophy. I essentially have the platinum trophy in this game. I'm only one short because one's bugged and it just cannot be done. So I'm having to wait for a patch for it. But you can see here, this is me looking at all my different factories. You have to fund your factories and then go pick up the currency and take it back home. But I was grinding for a trophy, which would give me, I had to collect some loot, which was called jute. And you pretty much just do a button prompt. You go up to it and you press like X to harvest it. It's super boring. But it just scratches that pirate itch. And I hate it that it does. The pirate itch, the scurvy.
I don't think everybody has a pirate itch.
Okay, everyone should have a pirate itch, right? There should be like a zombie itch, a pirate itch, I
don't have these itches.
See, I do. I love pirate stuff.
I have anime booba itch.
Well, I mean, that's one too, yeah. But you know, Skull and Bones is possibly the worst Ubisoft game that's come out in, I guess, since Riders Republic, maybe. And Wait. What was that?
Saying a lot? Is that saying a lot? I mean, not that Riders Republic. I had fun with Riders Republic, but what else has come out since then?
Skull and Bones is getting like a tough rap from somebody who plays their games like a lunatic.
Did you say that when Prince of Persia exists?
No.
Did he just say that's the best Ubisoft?
No. I said it was. I said it was the worst. I said it was the worst.
Oh, I heard it wrong. Okay, that's why I'm going crazy. Yeah. I heard best. I'm like, what is he saying?
No. Worst.
All right.
Well, you play your games like a lunatic who like grinds trophies and does weird tasks in the game. For a casual player, mess around in Skull and Bones wasn't too bad. Was it a game of the year thing? Is it even making my list? I'm not even putting it on my list for a candidate for game of the year. You know, obviously I don't play games. Again, you guys hear me say this all the time. I play a lot of a little and a little of a lot. And this is one of those little of a lot games where I played it for more time than I would normally give it because I was giving it for free and I was sponsored to play it. The time that I spent in it, I had a good time messing around with it on stream because it was very low impact. I was just fucking around, sailing, shooting things, collecting things, having a blast, talking to chat. At no point was I interrupted by a cutscene where I was like, everybody quiet down. We got to listen to what James Locksmith says here.
No, like, nobody is, because this game's story is terrible. You skip all the cutscenes.
I don't skip the cutscenes, but I was just chilling through them. But I liked. I don't know. There was something relaxing about just rolling around on the ocean and picking up random shit. So I liked the gameplay loop enough. I wouldn't give it a very high review score or anything like that. And I don't really have that much to say about it. And even honestly, like Kaulin, you did a great job of describing the gameplay, but it's also maybe the most boring thing I've ever fucking heard in my life.
I'm so confused. Are you defending this game or are you shooting it down?
I think it's not as bad as you think, but it's pretty bad.
I don't think you've played enough to know how bad it is.
Exactly. I've played the right amount.
Okay.
I feel like I've played the right amount, which is 0.
Honestly,
that might have been it. All right. You have anything else on Skull and Bones?
Season 1, the battle pass is weird and really bad.
You're playing the battle pass?
Well, I mean, the battle pass came with the edition that we got from the keys, so yeah. I'm not grinding it. I've pretty much given up on it, but it's pretty bad.
So let's move on to Super Princess Peach,
another bad game.
You know what? Like I would normally be like, I don't know. It's not bad. It's not bad. I had a really weird time streaming the demo from Princess Peach Showtime. So first of all, let me take a trip back in time. I'm hyped for Princess Peach Showtime, and I have been for a while. When they had that big blowout Nintendo Direct last year where they announced Princess Peach Showtime, new WarioWare game, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, Super Mario Odyssey, and Super Mario RPG, all on the same fucking event, my hot take was I'm most excited for for Princess Peach Showtime. In preparation for this, I've gone back, and I've played through Super Princess Peach for the DS. I emulated it because it's very hard to stream DS games. So I've been playing through Super Princess Peach. And let me tell you, this game is like 18 years old and is very, very good. It does some pretty cool things. We've all heard the normal rhetoric on this of like, oh, the first Peach game and you're controlled by her emotions. Yes, it hasn't aged all that well. However, I think the actual gameplay mechanics in it are pretty sound. And for a DS game, it's really, really fun. It does some cool boss stuff. And it looks good by today's standards, too. The DS was kind of that era where if you're doing a 2D game, it's always going to look like good enough to stream. So those have been really fun. So I kind of went into Princess Peach Showtime being like pleasantly surprised with how good the last Peach game was. So I sort of had higher expectations for Princess Peach Showtime. When I played the demo, I was immediately greeted by some pretty nice visuals, but then some glaring technical issues, which was really, really surprising from like a first-party Nintendo game. And in doing research, Nintendo's being very weird. They actually haven't publicly announced who is working internally on this Princess Peach game. All signs point to it being, I think, like the Yoshi's Crafted World team, which is like not the typical departments that you usually see. They're not making 10 out of 10 bangers or anything like that. This isn't the Super Mario Odyssey team's next game or anything. But the one thing that I noticed about Princess, go ahead.
You know who
I thought? Just agreeing with you. I
thought it was going to be the Toad's Treasure Trove team.
No, it could be. We still don't know for a fact, which is weird that they're being this cagey about it. here's the thing. So the first thing that I noticed that was like weird about it was the loading screen is like a textured curtain, right? The whole thing is set like on a play. And because of this, it always has this like wavy motion. And I'm telling you, when I'm telling you that this game is fighting to survive in every fucking loading screen, this thing is moving at like 3 frames per second if we're lucky, and then it'll jolt and like accelerate and then stop. And like I get it, it's running on Switch hardware and everything, but there's plenty of optimized games. That was like the first red flag. I'm like, why is this game like struggling to load right now? Like it's not even loading anything that impressive either. So that was like the first thing. And then I ended up running into like some weird, like not even quality of life, but like tech issues where like I accidentally moved her past like a gameplay prompt. Like I was trying to go through this, I just talked to this guy, and the idea is move to the far right of the screen so that that guy will then come unlock the door, and you know, you can progress past that screen to the next area. So I talked to the guy and I moved to the right of the screen. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I had to go back left and get like closer to him, and he perked up and then went to the right of the screen. Like I missed a trigger with the physical space of my character in a Nintendo video game. Like it was just a jarring thing that I don't think has ever happened to me in a first party Nintendo game. You know, those games are known for being responsive and crisp and just the best, most like clean platformers. You know, nobody ever says like, oh, this Mario game feels a little unfinished, right? So it's unfortunate to see some weird stuff going on. The other thing to know about this Princess Peach game is it's extremely simple. And I wonder, the biggest point of comparison that I can make is Kirby's Forgotten Land, where Kirby's Forgotten Land kind of starts off easy and gets pretty difficult as you get further into the game. And I can't speak to what that's going to look like later on because the demo only had 2 levels. The first one was pretty straightforward. It was like a 2D, well, 3D. And it's not 2.5D either. It's hard to like explain what this is. It's basically a side scroller that's on like a 3D field. Like it almost feels like a beat 'em up game, you know, where you can move up and down, but you're basically just going left and right.
Dude, Cowgirl Peach though.
Oh, I'll get there. So this the whole point for this was like it was like Sword Fighter Peach's level, and it played out like a very generic platformer. You only had 2 buttons. It was jump and like interact, which at first was swinging ribbons and then eventually became attack with your sword. So very, very simple gameplay. And I flew through that level, found some collectibles. It was charming enough. And I was like, fuck, if I had to rate this game right now, it would be like a 6 out of 10. Like this has not been a very impressive or fun time. I thought the demo was going to end there because I was about a half hour into it. I was pleasantly surprised that they gave us another section of the demo as well.
Was that the
when I
baking
played
one?
as Patisserie Peach. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I thought
So
it
I
said
got to play-
rotisserie peach. I was very confused.
No, patisserie. I had to look up how to pronounce it. It's a French word for a pastry chef. And it was a big like gameplay variety switch up where it was almost like a timing game where you were baking. You would like mash B to cook, and then if you went too far you would burn it, and if you didn't go far enough it would be undercooked, and you were kind of like running through this thing to make recipes and then design cakes the right way by like tilting the screen. And
yeah, it looked
doing,
like a bad
decorations.
Cooking Mama game.
Yeah, there was kind of Cooking Mama vibes, but what it spoke to for me was that, okay, not all of this is just going to be an average 2.5D platformer. There is going to be other weird, cool things that happen in this game. So I'm still hyped on it for sure, but my expectations are a little bit more in check. I think something stinks a little bit on Princess Peach Showtime. So
What
playing it
do
by
you
ear,
think-
still
I'm not
pre-ordered.
gonna say it.
I'm locked in.
Really?
What?
I was gonna say, what do you think
Yeah.
stinks? What about Peach
What
stinks?
do I think stinks? I think the fucking technical
Cowgirl
difficulties.
Peach though is I like that one.
Yeah.
Um,
Mermaid Peach.
yeah, I did. I
She's,
did tune in to you
doing
while you
something
were
for me.
streaming this, and I saw you cooking those little pastries, and it looked infuriating. So,
Mhm.
Oop.
Yeah, not gonna be a 10 out of 10.
yeah, I don't know.
Not gonna be a 10 out of 10.
I'm glad I'm not into Nintendo stuff.
Yeah, I used a voucher. Again, I say this all the time, but the best deal in video games right now for like if you're a person that buys,
I gotta use my other voucher. I still have one that's about to
I wonder
run
if
out.
when it expires. You better look at it. The best deal right now is Nintendo voucher. So here's what you do: Newegg.com, computer part supplier of many years, very reputable. Once or twice a month will sell a $100 Nintendo eShop gift card for $90.
Yeah.
So for $90, you get $100 in Nintendo eShop credit. You then go and buy 2 Nintendo vouchers for that $100 in credit, which lets you get 2 Nintendo first-party games within a year if you use them. So essentially, for $90, you can get $120 worth of video games. So for 45, you knock $15 a piece off the price of like a brand new game. And for me, like getting Mario, like my 2 that I'm going to end up doing for this batch is like, I think I got Super Mario Wonder and Super Princess Peach or Princess Peach Showtime for $45 a pop. That feels nice, you know?
Yeah, or you can look at it like you paid $70 for Breath of the Wild or for Tears of the Kingdom, and then $20 for something else. So
yeah, true. Yeah, for sure. I think actually I might have spent. I did one like impulse where I was like, I want this game. I'm just gonna get another voucher set up for $90, and I got like Xenoblade Chronicles 1, so I could go back and play Definitive Edition, and Pikmin 4, and hell yeah.
You know, every time I turn on my OLED Switch, I think, why don't I play this thing more? Because it looks so good.
Yeah, that OLED screen's nice.
Yeah.
The OLED screen is nice.
Speaking of $20 games.
Checked out.
Huh? You like mine better?
Pretty good.
Yours are
pretty good. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's pretty good.
I was trying to slide it in there. Okay.
Pacific Drive.
Yeah.
This is really interesting because Stubs, last time you were on the show, you had hands on. You got to play Pacific Drive beforehand, and let's take advantage of that fact, right? Like we're not like huge industry professionals that always get to play games before they come out, so it's kind of like a rare opportunity that you get to play like a developer like an early build and then get to play like the entire thing. Tell me about
can I have a
experience.
history of this, because I don't remember this.
Yeah, I got to play this while I was at PAX East. When I went last year, and like the thing that I learned then was like how much of a rogue like that game was going to be, you know, like how much rogue element was going to be, because we didn't know a lot at that point when I got my hands on time. Sure. And like when they sat me down, they're like, you're going to get to do a run. I'm like, okay, run, rogue, got it. Like
saying the right things.
And then the thing that like immediately jumped out to me as like the biggest, they didn't show a word of this, from my playtime, was the upgrade tree. Like and the garage and your hub and your base. Like I got to see a sense of like, okay, this is like what a map's gonna look like and the kind of dangers we're gonna be facing. And I got to see a lot of those things while I've been playing, maybe not to the same intensity or degree, because I've got about 8 hours in this game, enough to form opinions and thoughts, but certainly not enough to like be done with it. I'm closing in on about a dozen runs at this point.
Okay, nice.
I'm starting to touch that middle difficulty of run a little bit. Make those multi-junction runs. But like okay, so, and this is something else we'll talk about here in a little bit. I feel I die out in every survival game when the time comes that you feel like you have to move your base for one reason or another. Every survival game has that moment where you feel like you have to move your base. And that's the moment where I kind of fall off of every survival game.
Yep.
And I don't see that happening here because your base is your car. It comes with you. You get to bring it where you need to go, right? Like you don't have to destroy it or rebuild it and, you know, like teleport portals, whatever, yada, yada. However games want to get around it. Like it's just the thing you're always bringing with you no matter what. And boy, can I not? It's like the way the upgrades work, the way you get to explore the world, all the different. God, what's the right word for them? I don't even. Have either of you played this game?
I've put about an hour and a half into it. I just finished my tutorial run.
Okay, all right. They're like absurdities or something, but all the little things happening around you in the world, like I'm seeing multiple different variants of those and how they interact with each other. They're all so unique and interesting, and finding out the lore of the characters we get to.
Oppie. I liked Oppie right off the start.
Good. Oppie's so good. The characters are so good. The VO is really good.
Really
like
good.
The VO sounds really good. The actors are very much embodying their characters. It's great. I can't wait to finish this game and have more to say. But similar, Jake, I put like 85 hours in Helldivers 2, so I've just been playing a lot of
yeah, I get it.
Similarly to
I get
60
it, for
hours
sure.
of Final Fantasy.
Honestly,
But
that's
the
exactly
bones
what
are
happened
good.
to me.
Yeah, the bones are very
let me just
good.
ask
I'll be
you
coming back.
guys. I'll just ask both of you guys just real quick. Like, I was into this game, and then as I got closer, I started to get like a little bit like further away from it because I don't like scary and I don't like stressful. And it seems like this game is a little bit scary, but a lot of bit stressful. Like the runs are actually like, is it anxiety inducing?
Yeah, I mean the first one was for me, but I'm probably not the best to speak on this, but I will say the first one was. I was like, it's probably a good thing Jake hasn't gotten this because it's a little stressful and a little spooky. But it's the thing of with repeated exposure, the spook wears off. So I feel like near the end, since you're repeating things so much, it wouldn't be as spooky.
Sure.
I don't think the oddities like maintain their spookiness past seeing them the first or second time. I think the stress is a non-zero factor for sure, though. I think that it's definitely something that is going to like peak and drop a lot throughout the game. Like you're going to feel stressed as you move to that new difficulty, but then you get the resources to level your car up more, you get more health, you get more defenses and stuff you can do to stop stuff, and you lower your stress, but then you move up to the next difficulty level and you're going to feel it again. So it's one of those things that you're going to be constantly fighting with. It might not be the game for you.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it might be, and it's something. This is something I'll have a better sense of when I beat it. It might be the game that you want to like read about or watch people, theory videos on, because there's some interesting story here that could be very cool for people to. Because this also feels like in Alan Wake, or where they're going to leave a lot of things up to imagination and theorizing. And I'll be excited to hear gamers' opinions on, everything, all the limb technology.
Sure. They so Skill Up, I don't know if y'all watch him on YouTube, but he did a really good like analogy of this to the Stalker games of you are a person that is diving into an unknown like very supernatural area and just experiencing these things that aren't quite right, but you can't quite really place it every time. He had a really good analogy to just this and like Stalker, and then I can't remember what Stalker's based off of. It's a book. It's like Picnic with something, I don't know, Roadside Picnic maybe. I can't remember what that book is originally called, but yeah, Jake, you should watch the video because I'm definitely going to be playing more. It's just unfortunately this year's way more packed than I thought it was going to be, and I'm struggling to keep up.
Yeah, right now everyone wants to talk about how 2023 was such a banger. How can 2024 keep up? But you know what? These first few months are pretty good. It's just not as many like gigantic AAA games, and we have a much worse idea this year of what the second half of the year looks like. Like,
I'm okay with it.
I think like big budge first party bullshit is going to be a little lacking, but that's okay for the holiday season for me to go back and.
I'm okay with that because I need some time to catch up on my backlog. Absolutely.
Yeah, let's get to an interesting spot here, and we'll spend a little bit of time on each one of these games, and we'll spend a little bit more time on one of them. But I just want to talk on a couple of things that I played during Steam Next Fest, but all of which are topical in their own kind of different way. The first one I'll talk about is Pepper Grinder. Pepper Grinder is a game that popped up again. We'll talk about it early. See the slide again briefly at the Nintendo Direct most recently, and it got a shadow drop demo as well there, so you can play this game right now in a way on Steam and on Switch. It also comes out at the end of this month on, I think, the 28th. I'll get that date right for you by the end. I've got notes on it. However, Pepper Grinder is a really cool 2D platformer that feels, the best way that I can describe this game is it's like a straight up 2D platformer with like a pixelated art style. You play as this girl that's holding a drill, and that drill carves through the environment, like sand and dirt and things like that. And once you're in there, have you guys ever played Rayman Origins or Legends?
No.
It's a 2D platformer that has really fluid controls, and when you steer around the areas that you swim in that game, it feels unlike any other 2D platformer, and no one's imitated it since, and nobody has gotten it as good as Rayman Legends or Origins has since until this video game. tough to explain. I don't have that much more to say on it. All I can tell you is that I'm buying this game on day one and playing the hell out of it, probably like off stream. It's just the type of 2D platformer I love. The best thing that I want to like say is play the demo. B, if you can't, just go watch the video. Just go watch the trailer, search Pepper Grinder game, and see if it looks like it's your thing. You'll know in 15 seconds. Like you'll be like, oh, this is my type of shit, or no, I'd have no interest in this.
Yeah, I watched you stream this, Jake, and yeah, it immediately looked very intriguing. It looks like a very fun to control momentum based 2D platformer. Absolutely. For
sure. There's really, really like slick moments in this game. Pretty hot on Pepper Grinder. The next game that I'm really hot on is Tales of Kenzera Zau. I pulled up the Wikipedia page because I want to get this stuff right. You've probably seen this game. So this is the game published by Electronic Arts. It is made by Surgent Studios, which is the studio opened up by, I'm going to butcher this name, Abubakar Salim. And he is the voice actor of Bayek, and he's been in a couple other things like Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Yeah, everyone knows that. He's going to be in the upcoming season of House of the Dragons. Oh, nice. Yeah. He was in Black Mirror, and Raised by Wolves is the other big one. The Ridley Scott show on fucking Showtime or something like that. But really cool guy, and this is the game that when you look at it, you go, this looks like Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. And unfortunately, it does visibly look a lot like Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, in that it is a Metroidvania that has a very similar theme. However, if one could argue that Prince of Persia is more on the Castlevania side of the Metroidvania, I guess, spectrum, in that this is more on the Metroid side of the Metroidvania spectrum, in that there is a lot of like I would say that Castlevania's combat is usually going to be more melee based, whereas this one is surprisingly pretty projectile based. There's a lot of stuff that you can do from like a distance. Like it almost feels more like a shooter. There's a lot of like aiming the stick in the right direction that you get a little bit of in Prince of Persia if you're doing like the arrows, but it's not like your main form. The cool hook for this game is that you have these masks that power you, and there's a sun mask and a moon mask. And when you're wearing the sun mask, it's like a close quarters combat, and when you switch to the moon mask, it's like a Metroid, like you're firing missiles and shit like that. It's doing more differently than Prince of Persia does when it comes to the combat in some ways, and I think it does things a lot better when it comes to maybe not. It's hard to explain the differences between the game, but you can feel them when you're playing it, no doubt. My last thoughts on this is that this game is also $20, which I think is a pretty good indicator of what you're getting into, and very fairly priced given what it is. Like it makes Prince of Persia seem overpriced when you compare the two, if that makes sense. And it also is on sale for $18. You get 10% off just for pre-ordering. And I liked this game so much when I played the demo that we actually went and watched the announcement. First of all, I challenge you to go watch the announcement of this from, it was either the Game Awards or Gamescom Opening Night Live or Summer Game Fest, where the guy who voices it, the guy who opened the studio, who's directing the game, talks about what prompted him to make this game, and it was like the death of his father, and the reason why he's doing this whole thing. Really heartfelt speech. He's super hyped on why he's up there. He cites like his inspirations as being like a bunch of really dope games, including Golden Sun. So you had me at Golden Sun, and then he ends up like kind of breaking down on stage a little bit. It is very heartfelt, and after watching that and playing the demo and it being fucking $18, I was just like, I'm buying this right now. Like I'm gonna pre-order it and support this kind of thing. You know?
There were two times at the Game Awards this year when like the crowd just, I don't know, was like unified. It was the God of War Valhalla trailer, and when this guy was talking.
Nice.
So it was really good. He was definitely the best like speech or talk of the night or whatever.
Yeah. Good command presence up there on the stage and everything. He was really crushing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, really cool game. Excited to play it. It comes out early April. Worth checking out the demo for. I was very impressed by the demo. I think there's a lot of fun to be had there. And if there's anybody that's like, honestly, like it seems small, but like budget conscious, if you're thinking about like Prince of Persia still $50, this will wet the whistle, man. Like, and it feels like it's going to review probably pretty high for a $20 game, and I think they're going to take that into consideration when they're scoring it. So I bet this Zau game does well. And I think that it's interesting. Like I was kind of knocking the name, like Tales of Kenzera. I'm like, oh, you need to do better than that. Like it's a tough thing to remember, right? But I don't know.
I just call it
people must have said that about like the Legend of Zelda for like the longest of time. Like when that first came out, most people were like, what the fuck is Zelda? What the fuck is Kenzera? I don't know. I think it'll work, especially if they make other games in that universe. Tales of Kenzera's. Ow.
Well, most of the reason I just say Zau is because the Tales of Kenzera is so small on the key art. Most of the time can't even read it, so I just say Zau.
Yeah, Zau's the name of the character too. Pretty good shit. 2 more games in this little block. One of them is Balatro. And hell yeah. Finally, we got somebody else to play it. Stubs. You're hot on this, right?
Oh yeah. So this was the game that I went to play after I got upset with Expedition's control scheme immediately. And I had several friends not quite screaming at me, but basically shaking my shoulder saying, you need to play Balatro, because I loved Inscription. And I was a big Magic the Gathering kid growing up. Like I'm fun play. Like I enjoy playing deck builders.
Yeah.
And the thing that was holding me off for a while is I'm not like personally big on gambling. So like just the connection to that was like, I wasn't like hot to check it out immediately.
Yeah, that's fair.
I watched a buddy play it at his house, and I realized that while it's using, poker suits, it's not really connected to gambling. It's just using the language and whatnot. And then lovely Mr. Kaulin there gifted it to me to make my my monthly gaming decision between Expeditions and Balatro easier. Thank you, Kaulin.
Yeah, no problem. I had planned on gifting it to both of you guys because I was like, I'm in a good mood today, and it was already in Jake's library, so I was sorry, Jake, you missed out.
All good.
I figured y'all would play this and talk about it. It was one of those things. It's like, I know we need to talk about it, but I'm not gonna play it. So
yeah.
And so I booted up my first run, and I got to ante 4 out of 8 on my tutorial run. And I was like, oh, that feels good. So like seeing the synergies happen, playing the cards. Second run didn't go very far, fizzled out pretty quick, and then died out on like big blind to the second ante. And I won my third run, like handily. And I'm hooked now. I'm like, I was thinking, I'm doing inventory at work, and I'm seeing straights and part numbers. Like I can't help myself.
Right. Yeah. It's one of those games. I played it on stream, and it didn't lend itself very well to like a stream game. There was a lot, especially going through the tutorial and just reading about like mechanics and how the game works and building a deck is not my type of jam on stream. So I fell off of it pretty quick. But I saw like the ingredients of something that could be really appealing here, and I haven't dug into it again yet, but it does feel like something that's up my alley. And it just feels like there's a lot of like comparisons that can be made. Like it does feel a little bit like one of these indie darlings, like spooky game fishing.
Inscription.
No,
fishing. Dredge.
Fishing. Dredge from last year. Inscription from the year before. Vampire Survivors from whatever year that came out in.
Pika-Yune Dreams from you guys forgot Pika-Yune Dreams?
Oh, I did forget that. That's right.
I have no idea what that is.
You need to look that up.
It looks it's really cool, and it's taken the world by storm here. It's definitely cleaning up. It's a $15 game, and it's now out. I played only the demo. And
was it just a demo
cool.
that was in your library? Is there a differentiation between that on Steam?
Maybe not. I don't know. Don't gift it to me. I'll be all right.
Okay. Well, I was very,
I appreciate it.
Now
though.
I'm very confused.
But yeah, Balatro, really cool. I think that this game is going to continue making waves, and it can probably be expanded upon. Do you think there's room for like DLC and expansions that'll keep this thing going?
More Joker cards, more consumable cards. Like there's totally different. It's absolutely there's room for expansion here. But more decks. Like there's totally things they could add in. And again, I've got like 3 hours. Like I played like 2-3 hours last night after Expeditions. I did the 3 runs, and that third run really had me hooked. I got a Joker that was the Vagabond. So anytime you played a hand and had less than $3, you got one of the consumable cards. You got like a planet or something up in the consumable slot. And I used that to just like craft a deck around the next Joker I got, which was club cards give a ×4 multiplier. So by the end of that game, I had like 7 aces, or not aces, 7 diamonds, 5 spades, 11 hearts, and 29 clubs in my deck. So that I was just,
that's pretty cool.
My most played hand was flushes, and just like every time I'd play a flush, it was just like, oh, extra 4 multiplier, extra 4 multiplier, extra 4 multiplier on every club card. And oh dude, yeah, it's just like you see those synergies start to line up. You realize that like Jokers trigger left to right, so you put the addition Jokers to the left of the multiplication Jokers so that you get the addition and then the multiplication. Like, Oh yeah, bro. Oh yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah,
It's
it
good
seems
if you like
accessible too.
numbers.
Like I feel like things like Slay the Spire and other like deck builders like that from the past years might be like a hard sell to some people. This could be a good like mainstream gamers first deck builder type game. Like I could feel this being like something that could be recommended to a wider array of people to get them into this genre, which is interesting just because the baseline is something that's more universally understood unless you're
right.
Colin and you don't play poker.
Yeah,
because
Colin's the only person who doesn't know. But yeah, I mean,
went wrong.
It's true.
85% of people, you could say, hey, you know what a straight flush is, right? And they're gonna be like, yeah. I'm like, all right, you could understand Balatro. Like it's you know how to win.
Yeah.
You just gotta
Don't let Colin define what a straight flush is. We'll have to cancel the podcast. All right. Yeah. The last game that I played, I'm gonna be honest, this technically wasn't part of Next Fest, but it was just a demo that popped up in the list, and I am so red hot on this game called Europa. You guys have to bring up a trailer for Europa. You've probably seen it before. It's popped up at some of those like PC gaming shows and like some of those smaller shows that you'll see, like the wholesome games or like the indie game showcases that pop up around like June. Europa is a 3D exploration game that is like one part Journey, one part Breath of the Wild, and then like 3-part Studio Ghibli. It is the coolest looking game where every single individual frame just looks like this absolute perfect little picture. It's like what Breath of the Wild's graphics aspire to be. It is as crisp and as clean as you'd hope that those things are. It's like when you think of like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild in your head, it looks prettier than the game is. You guys know what I mean about that? Like, and then you get in there and you're like, oh yeah, it looks good. Which I still think that the game is absolutely gorgeous for the color palette and whatever it uses there as far as the graphical limitations go. But Europa is doing something very special. It is very much a like relaxing kind of lower pressure game where you're doing a lot of exploration, a lot of like flying around, jumping around, doing some light puzzle solving. Every once in a while there's like a high stress and like situation that is usually has to do with like an enemy or like a flying mission, but for the most part this game is just a fun little like romp through an open world. Very, very cool. My description will not sell it as much as the visuals will. Can't recommend this enough. Is this something that you guys would check out? Do you guys like Journey or Abzu or anything like that?
I do like Journey, so you had me at Journey. Watching the little trailer here, it looks interesting. I'm gonna have to check it out a little bit more.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it's nice. And it's a nice demo too, and it's sneaking out like really soon. I think it comes out in April. It got delayed from last year, but it's only a PC release, and I don't think it has like wide distribution. It very much is an indie game, despite the way that it looks. Like I think it's one of the most beautiful indie games I maybe have ever seen in my life. And I think this game will make waves. I feel like it's the type of game that will come out on Steam, and people will see it, and it'll all of a sudden be kind of like a indie darling that shoots up the. I don't know. This is a guess that it might like do decently well, and then it's the kind of game that we'll see pop up at like a, PlayStation State of Play, like Europa, available now, like a PlayStation, and then we'll see it at like a Nintendo indie showcase, available now, that kind of thing. I'm sure it'll get ported to other consoles and do pretty well.
I like it. I'm afraid it's gonna fall off and die like Planet of Lana. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. I don't think so. I feel like there's enough going on. Like Planet of Lana is more puzzle pilled than this. I feel like the momentum of like, I don't know, can you guys imagine playing Journey and putting it down at any point? I can't.
No. Do you want to know my Journey experience?
Yeah.
I was house sitting for a friend with their, taking care of their cat, and played Journey in one sitting while their cat was like crawling over me and making me die because I'm allergic to cats. And then at the end of Journey, when the person that was with me the entire time faded away, I got really sad. I wasn't sure if I was crying because of the journey being over or the allergic cat hair crap.
Oh, yeah. Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah,
column
probably.
A, column B. Who can tell? Speaking of games you can't play in one sitting, or Breakaway, Persona 3!
If somebody could play this game in one sitting, I would be very surprised.
I have not. I gave my impulsive thoughts on Persona 3 last time. I had just played it the day before we recorded GameList for February. It launched, I think, February 3rd or something like that. I liked it fine, and I once again find myself in the same exact spot as Persona 5, saying, I like that game. When I have time, I will go back and play it, and I don't have time.
Have you played it at all?
Kaulin,
since last
however,
time?
what was that?
Have you played it at all since last time?
I picked it up one more time.
Oh, okay. Well, I picked it up many more times. I have since played and completed my first Persona game, along with getting the Platinum Trophy for it. I have done a lot of Persona-ing over the past month, and that's why I really haven't played that much. I've played Persona and Helldivers, and that's pretty much it, other than a couple hours in other games. But man, it was amazing. It was amazing, but also there were times where it was a slog, and it's like, why am I not progressing? Why is it taking so long? The dungeon in this game specifically is like noted to be one of the weaker points of it, and I would agree. You're pretty much ascending a tower, and you have to go up a lot of floors. And then, the whole social mechanics and stuff, very, very similar to like Persona 5 and stuff. So nothing out of the normal there, but it was a great time. I loved it. I loved playing a Persona game for the first time. I want to play Persona 5 at some point, but they're big games, and I don't.
Did it sell you on the series? Like, will you be on the hype train for Persona 6?
Yeah, I think so. And it has put me
That's
more on. It has put me more on the hype train for Metaphor ReFantazio because of it.
Oh yeah,
yeah, because this
sense.
was technically like my first Atlas game, I guess. So I'm in. I'm definitely gonna play more in the future, but it's a big. These things are big commitments, so I totally understand people not playing them.
Yeah. Any Persona experience, Stubs?
40 or 50 hours of Persona 5 that I really enjoyed, but it was like there's 70 more hours of this, and
Sure.
Yeah. Persona 3.
No anime booba itch.
No, my itch is spread democracy and hit throttle in car. That's
Facts.
Reasonable. That's it for Persona, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. It's pretty,
Cool.
you know what you're getting.
Absolutely. I've been digging into Fortnite in such a big way, man. There's been a lot. Like, the thing about Fortnite is if you just get tangentially interested in it, they do spice things up often enough that there is a lot to really enjoy. They did a Ninja Turtles collaboration event, which was such a layup for me to be interested in. They put all the turtles into the game. Me and my 3 homies that play games together each picked up a turtle, and we rolled around as the fucking Turtle Squad, which we're still doing to this day, which is super fun. And it was a full collaboration, so Splinter and Shredder were in the game as well. Like, there's a little mini battle pass for it. Their weapons were in there, so you could dart around like a ninja and slice people up. It was just very, very fun. And then on top of that, they started a new season of Fortnite Festival, which is Lady Gaga themed, which has been really fun. A bunch of it's so good, dude.
Yeah.
And also they have been dropping songs every week, and the first season they dropped 3 songs a week, and for this season they've been dropping 9 songs a week, which is just insane. Like, it's getting Rock Band amounts of support. And speaking of Rock Band, if you look behind me in the video version,
I saw that.
I bought a digital drum set. It was like, I bought the shittiest one that exists. It was like $300, and it is a full like MIDI drum kit that you could use as like a professional to record drums on. And I have that hooked up to my computer, and I'm now playing Fortnite Festival on drums once a week. So stop by Fridays during the day to see me absolutely rock out. It's super fun. It's not officially supported yet, but I'm using like Joy to Key to kind of map it to like a keyboard or a controller function. And there's like some latency, but I've got it all figured out. And it's a pretty enjoyable experience and some cursed fun little streams. So really hot on Fortnite Festival, which is the true Guitar Hero Rock Band experience that you guys know I'm absolutely obsessed with. And then just yesterday, Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 2 dropped, so the full new season of like the actual Fortnite started, which is all Greek mythology themed. And let me tell you, it's really good. It's really cool. Once again, they've outdone themselves. It lends itself. I mean, obviously, listen, if you have to pick like a generic theme for a game to follow for a month or two, Greek mythology is always going to be a hit. You got your Poseidon in there, you got your Zeus, you got your Hades and all that. And some of the items that they put in, like these wings and like Zeus's thunderbolt and shit like that, end up being a lot of fun to mess around with. It's new, you know, they've made a lot of changes to the actual map so that there's like new fresh things to do, but I haven't had that much time to really like mess around with it. But overall, so far, it's fun to be in on Fortnite right now. game is obviously popular for a reason, and I'm understanding it more and more. Just fun to party up with different friends and mess around in a game that you basically like have a variety of fun in all the time, but it's low impact. I'm never over here like talking strategically. I'm talking about like what my favorite foods are and what kind of music you're listening to, and who knows what kind of conversation you can have.
They have Korra, so it's like
Korra.
I might have to jump in for Korra.
Yeah, Korra's the battle pass thing, so you gotta grind up, and she'll be available in a few weeks, but you'll have to be like level whatever to unlock her shit.
Yeah,
and
I might hop in for Korra. Which did they add Aang in them, like Aang and Sokka? And
well, I'm assuming it's gonna end up being like the Snake skin from last season. So Snake was in the game, and then when Snake became available that week, they had like the Metal Gear event went live. So you had like the cardboard boxes you could hide in, you had like the EMPs where you could go invisible, and then in the shop they put Raiden in there, so you could go buy that skin. So I'm assuming it's part of a bigger like Avatar collab that will start in a few weeks. So you'll get your Battle Pass skin access. You could probably buy Aang from the store. And you can get some Avatar related items.
It'll feel so wrong to have Aang with a gun. Just
baby.
feels so wrong.
I bought Jack Skellington, bro. It feels awesome.
I'm a huge Avatar fan. I've got Aang, Sokka. You can see Aang and his little like glider stick back there. Aang, Katara, and Zuko statues back there. And I have a huge fan of the show, the original animated show. I recently watched the live action show. It's bad.
Woof.
It's bad. It's a woof. Yeah, it's better than the movie. It's better than the movie, but it's a woof. So,
yeah. All right. We'll move on from Fortnite. You guys know the drill. I feel like I'm going to have like the Fortnite festival every month is going to be like another talking point to keep it so interesting. Yeah, the Fortnite 4. I like that. Yeah. Fortnite 40. Give me the Fortnite 40.
Okay, I'll give you 40 seconds.
That does not sound nice. I gave you the Destiny 2 minutes. Hold on. Give me the Fortnite 4 minutes.
You used to have the Final Fantasy 14 minutes, which was horrible.
Yeah, baby. I'm still playing 14. I just don't put it on there.
Yeah, same for Destiny. Actually, I haven't played Destiny in months. I haven't played this season at all.
Remnant 2, you finally hopped in on?
Yeah, CaptainStubs.
I wanted you guys to, I put this on the list because I wanted you guys to talk about it, because Stubs, again, last time that you were on, you were really hot and put a ton of time into Remnant, and Kaulin was late to the party but has actually played it now, so I just kind of wanted you guys to compare notes.
Number 6 on my game of the year last year, Remnant 2.
Oh, I feel like that was low for you. I thought it was a lot higher than that.
Last year was hot, bro. We had Baldur's Gate, Jedi Survivor, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
That's fair. That's
fair.
fair.
Hell yeah.
Any other year, Remnant 2 is probably 4.
Yeah, that's fair. I hated on Remnant 1. I didn't really like it, but this one's been a fun time. I played it with the same friend that we tried Remnant 1 with, and it's definitely made for you to replay it, and I don't love that, mainly just because I don't love replaying games a lot. But so Stubs, you can probably answer this question. From my understanding, you play through the intro of the game, and then the minute you step in through that first portal, it's random where you go, like which planet you land on. So I landed on the planet that was like dark sci-fi monsters and stuff. I landed there first, and then we went to one that was like Bloodborne. No. We went to the Labyrinth planet.
You have to go to the Labyrinth. That's the same for...
Okay, so that one's always second?
Yeah.
Okay,
that makes sense,
it
like connects the worlds. Yeah. The Labyrinth, yeah.
That makes sense. And then we went to like the Bloodborne place almost. And then we just showed up at a forest of some sort. So we've not beat the game yet. It's been pretty good. I feel like we put it on... I don't remember which difficulty we put it on, but it feels pretty easy. I feel like we should have cranked up the difficulty a little bit.
I don't know that I would. I do think because the hardest part of this game, I think the worst part of the first game is the final boss fight, and I think the worst part of the second game is the final boss fight, because there's a really, really stiff difficulty peak in my mind. And I really do see those difficulties more as world tiers than straight up difficulties.
Yeah, that's kind of what I assumed.
Yeah. So I played through my first time on the lowest one, and then upped it after I had gotten a full run through and had a good bit of gear to deal with to make loadouts. I love Remnant 2. I think they much like Helldivers 2 earlier, I said they did a lot of things right for the sequel. They did a lot of things right for the sequel with Remnant 2. It's one of the best games for like build variety and build experimentation that I can think of. It's because it's free and at will. It costs you nothing to change your class. You have every class you could want to change to on you at any time. You can do it in the menu at will. If you want to swap a ring, if you want to change your subclass, like mixing and matching, trying all the powers is a free, easy to do. There's so many different things that are hidden within the game, but also like, yeah, you do have to replay it. You're not going to find everything that first run through. Absolutely not. Because they are only spawning so many different sections of the world. You're definitely not going to have the same run between you and your buddy. You want to, if you're playing through the game with 3 people, I would say like play up to the boss in one person's world, then go to your second buddy's world and play up to the boss in that person's world, and then go to your third friend's world and play up to the boss in that one, and then beat the boss all together. Like get those levels, get as much gear as possible, honestly, just to give yourself, because that final boss really is a pain. And he's not a pain now that I have high level builds and a bunch of different gear I can swap to and really make something that feels good for me. But the first time I fought him, I was down a lot and was really carried by my friends. Those final boss fights in Remnant are just rough.
Yeah, because all we've done so far is play in my world. So I guess we do need to start going over to his world, but
yeah, definitely go over into his world. Absolutely. Because then you're going to, even if like you're going to go to the same worlds, but you're going to see different different locations within those worlds. You'll get a chance to get different weapons off of different bosses. And even if you don't, you're just going to get more currency, upgrade yourself more just to be that better equipped for the final fight.
Okay. Makes sense. Yeah. I'm excited to play more of it.
It's a good time.
For sure.
Nice. I just mashed through Mario Odyssey for the first time since that game came out, basically in 2017.
Mid-game.
That game holds up in such a gigantic way. Have you guys played that before?
Not since launch, but yes, it's.
So you played through it?
Second favorite Mario, probably right behind 64.
Yeah, it's in my top 3 for sure. Kaulin?
Yeah.
I gave up on it halfway. I was not having fun and sold it.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
I never finished it.
Wow. Weird. I'm so red hot on that game, and it just goes to like, I know we've talked about it on the show, but like the reason that I wanted to put it on here is like I don't have much new to say about it. Like it's a 10 out of 10 3D platformer. It's so good. It holds up perfectly, and that game sticks the landing in a way that is so satisfying. Spoilers for Mario Odyssey, a 7-year-old game starting right now. At the very end, you do what makes the most sense, but yet I never saw it coming. And the entire game, you're throwing your hat to become your enemies, essentially. And in that last level, you throw your hat on Bowser, and you play that last level as Bowser. And it's just so fucking poetic and perfect and fun to play as. And there's an absolute banger track playing. And then they're both trying to marry Peach, and they say, who do you choose? And Peach chooses none of them and decides to travel the world. It's absolutely fucking perfect. And I want to know what that team is working on. And I think we'll probably only find out when the Switch 2 comes out. I'm thinking that it's a new Mario platformer and that a 3D Mario will launch on the Switch 2. But we're pushing 8 years since their last project. So whatever they're working on is big and important, and I'm really excited for it. Next thing I just wanted to do as we wrap up what we're playing is check in Stubs Palworld. Are you still playing?
I dabble occasionally still. I'm nearing that survival game point that I talked about earlier. I'm like having to run so far to explore new areas. I should really make a new base, and that's putting me off a little bit. But the reason, so the 2 survival games that have held me the most have been Valheim and Palworld. And Valheim held me because of its building. Like I like the Poly Bridge games, and World of Goo 2 is something I will definitely be talking about next time I'm on the show.
Yeah, Poly Bridge
big
is
hype for that. So like the building aspect of Valheim, the way like buildings would fall apart if they were built without supports and yada yada was like very stimulating to me. And Palworld's combat is stimulating because Pokemon, of course. So like that Pokemon connection really keeps me coming back. I'm probably not gonna put a whole bunch of hours more into it this year, but the game's a fun time. And if you're intrigued at all, I mean, I think it's worth it. It's worth its time investment. I absolutely don't regret my purchase. It's a good time.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, and I've fallen off of it, but I feel like that game had enough momentum out of the gate that if it gets like a big swing expansion or quality of life like 2.0 type upgrade, they could get us back in there pretty easily, and I'm sure that they will now that they've printed money with that thing.
Yeah.
Insane. The last thing I just wanted to talk about is I played all the way through Kingdom Hearts 2 on stream, and it's still one of the best games of all time, and probably in my top 5, 3, might be my favorite game that was just recently usurped by Final Fantasy. I really do love this thing, and again, holds up too. Kingdom Hearts, good. I just didn't want to leave it off the list. That's all. I have nothing new to say about it.
Fair.
Just nothing like it. Kaulin, you been using some new technology?
Yeah, man. I got the PlayStation Pulse Elites, I think they're called. Pretty much what happened is I had dropped my headphones that I'm wearing right now. I dropped them recently, and it shoved like a dial inside of the housing and like messed up something to where when I'm playing wirelessly, it just starts like glitching out, and people can't hear me. I can't hear the game. It's like it's almost like I've walked too far away and it's losing connection, even though I'm right here beside it. So it was really pissing me off because if I'm using something wireless, I want it to work wireless. So I was like, screw it, I'm just going to buy a new pair of headphones. These things had just recently come out, and I was like, well, I'll look at them. I was going to get more SteelSeries, but I was like, well, we'll try these out because they were about the same price point. These are actually really great. They don't have any noise canceling, which personally, these have noise canceling, and I never use it. And they've got a nice little headband there. The great thing about it is, since it's PlayStation, it's just perfectly seamless when using it with my PlayStation 5. Like, it is, I turn it on, I just press one single button and it's perfect every time. I never have any problems, never have any problems with connection, never have any problems with like lag. It uses its new like PlayStation Link wireless stuff, like lossless connection. That's supposed to be pretty good, and I haven't had any problems with it. And also, Sony recently acquired Audis. I don't know if it's Audis or Odyssey. I can't remember. I don't know how it's pronounced, but it's like AUDEZE or something like that. They recently acquired them, so these have much fancier drivers in them than they used to be. So they sound great. I have two complaints with them. One is it doesn't have sound return. I like to be able to hear myself to know if I'm breathing into the mic or not. It doesn't.
And I'm always breathing into the mic.
See, I like to have that. I have that on here. I have that on all the time. This doesn't have that, so it feels weird when I use them. I'm hoping maybe they'll like patch it in or something. I feel like, I don't know. I don't know if that's a hardware.
Most of it has to like as an option, yeah.
Yeah, and then the ear cups. It's not their fault. The ear cups are perfectly serviceable, and they're pretty large, like for stock headphones. But I always buy aftermarket ear cups from Wicked Cushions. Shout out, they're the best you'll ever get. I've got like the gel like cooling ear cups. And they're like super thick and super comfy, and only like $30. I cannot recommend them enough.
I have them as like a necessity replacement for my shitty Beat Studio 3s that are 7 years old, and I've used them. These are my third pair, where it feels like every 2 years I just need to replace them. They get all kind of like fucked up and like ratty, but I don't know. I just feel like that's kind of the deal. The problem I think that I run into is that like I shave my head pretty often, so like if I shave my head every other day, I've got some like pretty sharp stubble constantly digging into the top half of these headphones,
Yeah, that's fair. And I get the ones with like cloth, not the leather on the edge, because I don't like sweating on it.
I don't have options. I think like I just have like.
Yeah, they go buy some from Wicked Cushions. You will not be let down. I promise.
That's the brand I use. Yeah, but that's all.
You should have options.
I only have like the one option.
No, you should have more options on whether you have cloth or
I think
the leather.
the problem is that these are not black; they're navy blue. So the navy blue ones only come in like the color matched texture. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. Who knows? But they're the best.
Either way, if those headphones there are as good as they are ugly, then they must be great.
Also. They have a really great hanger that comes with it, and the hanger you plug in and you just hang your headphones on it, and it charges them while they're hanging there. So every time I pick these things up, they're fully charged.
That's cool.
And you can see it right there. You just hang it in and it's good to go. So
I feel like it's really interesting that you have these and you don't have a PlayStation Portal, because the most that I hear about these is like people are mad that they're a necessity because the PlayStation Portal doesn't work with Bluetooth. You literally need to have this headset.
That's really dumb.
Which makes me feel like you should be doing the inverse and go get a PlayStation Portal so that you can use it with your headphones. Like, you're the anomaly here.
Yeah,
you're equipped for it.
I have my like Backbone, like my PlayStation version of Backbone that I barely ever use, but I did use it a lot when playing Persona. So That was the only time I've been like, maybe I need a portal, but I don't need a portal.
All right, here's the plan. You buy a PlayStation Portal, I buy your backbone for $35 shipped. Now it's like you're only paying
$190. Yeah, with tax and everything. Yeah. No, I'm good, bro. I mean, honestly, I'd probably sell you the backbone, but yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Take you up on that.
Good set.
Cool. Let's talk about the new. Wait, no, I fucked up. We got to talk about our game of the year list. Let's just run down everyone's list. I feel like we kind of talked about it this entire time, but we're in pretty good shape. Stubs, you hooked us up with your list. Your number one is Helldivers, followed by Pacific Drive, and then Palworld. Sound right?
That's right. Yeah. Balatro's going to be on there quickly.
I was about to ask, like, is there anything on its way out this year that you feel like could take the cake from Helldivers? Do you feel like it's pretty secure as your number one? Like, there's always a risk of surprise. You know, that happens. Like Xenoblade 3. If you would have told me that Elden Ring and God of War, one of those games, would not be my game of the year in 2022, I would have laughed at you and scoffed. But it happens, you know?
I'm struggling to think of a title. I mean, if you wanted to throw names at me that you think might, but I mean, as hyped as I said World of Goo 2, it's not going to beat Helldivers.
I think... I think if you pick up Dragon's Dogma, you will be very surprised.
Yeah,
that's a kind of possibility.
Yeah, possible. Other than that, I got nothing.
Kaulin, your list is also Helldivers 2 up at the top, followed by Persona 3 Reload, followed by Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, and then Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones is only in my top 10 because there aren't enough games to knock it into the stinkers yet. So,
got it. Understood.
Yeah.
My number one game is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, followed by Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, followed by Helldivers 2, then Penny's Big Breakaway, then Persona 3 Reload, which honestly shouldn't even be on that list because I haven't put enough time in there, and then Palworld, which is reasonable. And I don't think that there's a world where Rebirth gets knocked off.
You've got a bunch of P's in your list.
Prince of Persia, Persona, Penny, Pal, Pop, Filter.
Yeah, people are loving that right now. Absolutely loving that.
All right. The first thing for news is some personal stuff.
Yeah.
I got engaged.
Hey, screw you, dude. I got engaged. Any of you that watch my streams, at least for a while, know that Allie has been my girlfriend since before I started streaming. And we finally got engaged the other day on our 4th year anniversary, our 4th year of dating. I proposed, and with this picture specifically, thankfully, you know, we can play it off as she is the subject of the photo. But I told the photographer to set the X between the two of us. And they set the X where I was supposed to stand, so that's why it's off-centered, and I was pissed. But whatever, she's the center, so I guess it works out. So, but yeah, we got engaged. And a bunch of little yellow daisies because Allie really likes Gilmore Girls, and one of the characters in there proposed with 1,000 yellow daisies. So I had, doesn't look like that much, but that's about 2,000 yellow daisies right there.
Hell yeah.
A lot.
Well, first of all, congratulations.
Thanks, bro.
Second of all,
congrats.
What's the deal? Do I get the invite or what?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. But it won't be for 2 more years because we're both going to finish school.
Oh,
first.
long engagement.
So, yeah, long engagement.
Hell yeah. Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Absolutely.
That's going to be awesome. All right, let's get into some industry news. So this is a weird one because we're a monthly show. You know, sometimes we focus less on like older news and things like that. But there was a very weird vibe in the middle of February of last month. Yeah. And let me tell you, the internet was abuzz about Xbox going multi-platform. And it ended up being way blown out of proportion. And the answer was not like, there's no more Xbox consoles or exclusives. They're not going third party or anything. They're just publishing some of their smaller games that won't deter people from like leaving their console ecosystem on some other consoles, and I think it's genius. Where'd you guys land with this Xbox news?
I'm so happy, dude. I ordered Pentiment, a physical Pentiment for PS5. That makes me so happy. Yeah.
The games they announced were Grounded, Pentiment, Hi-Fi Rush, and Sea of Thieves. Stubs, have you played any of these?
Grounded in Hi-Fi Rush. Not enough Hi-Fi Rush. I've only played like the opening 20 minutes. I really should have played way more of that game, but I put like 30 or 40 hours into Grounded.
Yeah, Grounded
they're good
fucks.
games. Yeah, it really does.
I love that game. I had a really surprising time with Grounded. Pretty cool, and I think the right move. Like I would like to see more of this in the industry. I'm not saying Nintendo put out Mario on other consoles and stuff like that, but like how hard would it be? Like how much would it hurt Nintendo's exclusivity and bottom line to put out like Xenoblade Chronicles 1 on PlayStation? How bad would it be if PlayStation put out like Ratchet and Clank from 2 years ago?
I think Helldivers should 100% be on Xbox. Like Helldivers should be everywhere.
Yeah.
Like it's very similar to
Xbox players want Helldivers.
I want Xbox players in my lobby. I think games like that definitely thrive from a larger player base.
Yeah.
That's why I'm really excited for Sea of Thieves. I'll like Sea of Thieves, Pentiment, and Hi-Fi Rush will probably be 3 platinums that I get this year. Because Hi-Fi Rush is one of those games that it's always been like, I'm not impressed by it, but I have to assume it's going to be an easy platinum to just grind through it. Nice short game, bright, fun, lighthearted. So I'm into it. There's still rumors about Starfield coming to PlayStation as well, which, I'm still not.
The rumors were absolutely crazy. It ended up being a little bit blown out of proportion, but I think it's a step in the right direction. We won't dwell on it too crazy. I'm glad that we didn't do some overreaction hype casts or anything like that. I will say that their delivery of the information was really shitty.
It was horrible.
Like the last thing that I can say is that like once the internet started buzzing, they put out a
Phil Spencer put
announcement. They were like, we're going to address it next week. And then everyone had the whole weekend to speculate. And they said, we're going to announce it during the Xbox video podcast. It was a 22-minute presentation of them just being so fucking stupid and cagey about what games were coming.
It was so
bad. And then just not saying the names. They should have just shut the fuck up. But I get that it was probably because they had the deal. Like the Nintendo Direct was going to announce this kind of stuff at some point. So they probably had to wait because that was part of the package deal for it to be announced at Nintendo's thing, not Xbox's thing.
Yeah, but at that point, just don't even mention anything. Just let it ride. Like, saying we're gonna talk about it and then talking around it for 22 minutes is horrible. I mean, it's not at all. Correct.
Yeah, I think that they should have gotten ahead of it and realized that this could have just been like a press release the week prior to stop all of this weekend of madness and stop having people tune in. Like I did a reaction to that Xbox podcast. This is the biggest waste of time I've ever fucking done in my life.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah.
Sucked.
Yeah.
I did react to the Elden Ring trailer though, and that's hot ticket.
I did too.
Stubs, did you do Elden Ring like the original?
150 hours of Elden Ring did I do?
Yes,
I did a lot of Elden Ring. Have not seen the trailer. I don't need to see it. I'm in.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll go pretty much spoiler free. We'll just talk about like the the ins and outs here. Like from what I understand. Oh yeah. All right. Don't look at the B-roll stuff.
I mean, I'm not worried about trailer spoilers, but I don't need to see it. I'm in.
I haven't seen the trailer. I immediately show the trailer.
What's going on in this trailer is, they're showing more Elden Ring-esque things. But what's interesting to me is that this thing is coming out 2 years after the game came out. It's $40. It's about the size of Limgrave.
It's going to be bigger than most games.
Small.
Wait, you said it
you
feels
think so?
Oh, this is going to be absolutely worth $40 and plus some.
I'm sure it'll be worth it. I feel like the actual land though is like a small portion of the game. Like Limgrave is not a very large area in the grand scheme of things.
Do I think there's going to be more underneath?
Yeah, like think about it. There's going to be more underneath.
So.
Like here's the thing. I have full confidence. FromSoft always has their best work in their DLCs. Like
consistently.
Scholar of the First Sin. What is it called for Bloodborne? The Hunters.
The Great Hunter. The Old Hunters.
Old Hunters.
Yeah.
Not Elden Ring. Dark Souls 3. I can't remember the names of them, but they consistently have their best work in the DLC. Mm-hmm. It's like they figure out what they're doing.
Best weapons, the best boss fights.
Everything. I can't.
And let's give them credit for creativity. They absolutely nailed it. Listen to how cool the area that you're exploring in this game sounds. It's called the Shadowlands. There's a little, come on, we can't do better than the Shadowlands in 2024.
I think you can blame George R.R. Martin for that, probably, right?
I do love blaming George R.R. Martin for things.
Which
let's be honest, though, this is an alley-oop. Here's the thing that scares me, though. I am terrified of Elden Ring, even though I've beat the game, especially 2 years removed. What is my experience as somebody who, like, I'm worried about. Do you guys remember the Sonic Frontiers problem that I had with their DLC, where it came out a year after and it was like meant to extend the main game, and because I hadn't played that game in a year, it was immediately just like a skill wall of like, holy fuck, I have no idea what I'm doing, and now I'm expected to do like the most challenging platforming in the game. Like, am I going to get in here and immediately be fighting Melania caliber bosses?
Probably not at the first boss, but it's going to be rough. You're going to have to ramp up your skills a little bit at the start for sure. I do have one question though. Did you start New Game Plus, or did you just beat the game and leave it in the first?
Game and quit. I was doing like little side quests and stuff, and then by the time I got to
do not start New Game Plus. That would be a bad idea. I would recommend doing it in your first in World 1.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
The thing with Elden Ring for me is that like that game was too big for me. I didn't have a good time towards the end of it. Like, I had such a good time at the beginning, and then by the time I got to that capital city, Lindell.
Lindale. Yeah,
and it was so big and extravagant, and I was like, nice, we're gonna get to the top of the city and the game's gonna be over. And then they were like, by the way, here's a whole snowy area. And by the time I was at the snowy area, I was like, I'm fucking done. Like, I'm going 2 quests and finishing this game. And I got there and then they're like, here's another area, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm going 2 quests. So like, I spent so much time in the first 80% of that game and such little time in the final 20%. I just think it overstayed its welcome for me a little bit long. So
no, I would agree. 150 hours, and I feel like the last 20 or 30 were a little bit of bloat personally. But
see, I spent 70, 80 hours in Elden Ring and enjoyed like almost every second of it, which Jake, you and I played a lot of it together.
Yeah, I had a blast.
Which was great, which we should do the same thing for Shadow of the Erdtree.
Yeah, I'd be down.
But yeah, we played a lot of that together, and I got the platinum in that game in 70, 80 hours. There was still a lot more I could have done, but I felt satiated by getting the platinum. And again, it's very well known around here that I'm not huge on DLC, but FromSoft will get me in for their DLC.
Sure. I think for this, I will maybe try to make like in April or May, I'll start to,
brush up.
Throw myself at, I'll do like a new run of Elden Ring for a couple of streams and then hop into my old file of Elden Ring and go fight some side bosses or some shit that I missed. Try to get my wits about me, I guess.
I'm trying to wonder, are there different save files? I don't think there are.
In Elden Ring?
Are there?
I would be surprised if every FromSoft game has multiple save files.
Like for different characters, you can have multiple.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind that.
Yeah, I've got 4 different definitely. Bloodborne characters right now.
Yeah, I
for
guess.
sure. People be running those games.
I guess my thing is normally
I
I play it and then I'm done, so I never even look around for other.
Yeah.
But I go back for new game pluses and.
Yeah.
It's a cool reveal. The game will certainly be good. I'm sure it'll be great DLC, and I bet it will be a Elden Ring, a Cyberpunk 2077 type beat this year when we're looking at Game of the Year lists of like some outlets will continue to allow this DLC or a standalone game or however you want to pitch it as a an entry, and it's other people probably will not. So I bet we see it pop up on some year-end lists, maybe even ours, who knows. But I'm in June 21st. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Toys for Bob, baby. This is the weirdest news of the month, I feel like. Toys for Bob, which has been famously a part of Activision and also famously pulled off of their own projects to help with Call of Duty, is breaking away from Activision and Microsoft and going indie. Bizarre story. I feel like this doesn't happen very often, and it sounds like I feel like this is a case of having cool bosses, like having somebody that understands, like somebody at Activision or Microsoft saw the vision. Somebody high up at Toys for Bob was like, we can't keep getting compromised and having our team pulled off of like what we're passionate about to make things like Call of Duty and make things like Crash Team Rumble that are played with microtransactions when we want to be making stuff that we want to make. The trajectory for Toys for Bob after Crash Bandicoot 4 seemed like it was such a absolute layup for them to work on a Spyro 4, and it didn't pan out like that.
You
the
know what's
fact
weird
that
to
they are
me?
now. What's that?
I think you might be getting into it. Oh.
Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say what's weird to me is they are going independent from Activision, which is now part of Microsoft, but they're in talks with Microsoft to make a deal there.
Yeah. So the actual literature is, to make this news even more exciting, we're exploring a possible partnership between our new studio and Microsoft. Like, so again, this sounds like they want like the agency to be their own company. Like, I really think that they might have gone to the table with like, we have been burned by Activision and by leadership too many times in our development history over the past decade. Like, we were pulled off of things that we wanted to do and we were unable to do that. We need to be able to maintain and make our own rules for our own small studio. And Microsoft or Phil Spencer or Matt Booty or whoever was calling the shot on this said, go for it. And honestly, we would love to work with you going forward if you decide to make something. And that being the case, they actually signed that message off with, so keep your horns on and your eyes out for more news. It would appear that they're going independent and they're going to be working on a new Spyro game. Horns.
Can I make
Toys
a
for Bob.
complaint real quick?
Sure.
Dev Madden, he was the art director, lead character artist for Sly Cooper 1 specifically, and a little bit on 2 and 3. He was working at Toys for Bob. I spoke to him back in September. I actually have the poster signed, the Sly Cooper poster signed for him, where he made the 20th anniversary poster for Sly Cooper. He was caught in the Activision layoffs, or I guess the Microsoft layoffs, right before this happened. So they just lost him, which really hurts me because, you know, I'm a baby for Sly Cooper. So anything connected to that, I'm
maybe they can get him back.
about. Yeah, maybe, but it's definitely just.
But really interesting,
unfortunate.
and yeah, a talented studio. Excited to see what they do next. The next thing we'll talk about just barely briefly, because there's not a whole lot. They had like a little trailer for it, an announcement. There was a big cash influx into Epic Games, and Disney picked up a gigantic stake in this company. So there is a future partnership for Disney and Epic Games coming in the future that, for the most part, looks like it's a play towards Fortnite-ish metaverse type shit. There's an interesting little teaser image that looks like some connective worlds that involve like ESPN and a bunch of their IP, like Disney proper and Avatar and Marvel and Star Wars and things like that. Not much to talk about, but of interest over the next couple of years. I'm sure we'll talk about Disney and Epic Games partnership going forward. Feels reasonable, to be honest. Feels like the right fit, I think. Let's get into some bigger events. The Nintendo Direct happened. It was a partner showcase, which was interesting. Hot on the heels of the Switch being kind of internally delayed, or the Switch successor being internally delayed, I think they pivoted and went from maybe a February-March showcase that was going to be a full Direct that maybe announced new hardware, to a partner Direct that just said, here's some of the stuff that's coming up. They showed off a lot of interesting things, chief among them, brand new Monkey Ball, baby. I am so fucking pumped for Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble. First time in a long time that we've got a new Monkey Ball that's not a remaster or a port or something along those lines. Really looking forward to that. They also announced a Disney Epic Mickey remaster. They announced Persona 5 Oh no, it's not Persona 5. I'm fucking up. It is Shin Megami Tensei 5
You're
Vengeance.
close. You're close.
Very close.
Yeah, Persona's
Very
a
close.
spinoff of SMT.
Which is nice, and it's new, and it's DLC, and it's a definitive edition basically of that game that's coming to Switch. But maybe more importantly, it's also going multi-platform, because the original one was exclusive to Switch.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to get that in a higher fidelity and a nicer quality. And I think there are a lot of fans that are pretty into that. They announced a new Contra game, which I played. Contra Operation Galuga. I don't know, Contra, but it definitely seems like a 3D Contra game. It's a 2.5D Contra game. Pepper Grinder was shown off there with the demo Shadow dropped. We talked about that already earlier in the show. The biggest announcement of the show, maybe for us, Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection, baby. Hype check.
Through the roof. As high as it could be.
Yeah.
Was that coming to more things, right? That wasn't just coming to Switch.
Everything.
Oh, it's everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
On the
That's
14th.
Right. Yeah.
With no crossplay, baby.
Yeah. No crossplay is a miss, but other than that, like there are pillars of my childhood. I give it 3. Sly Cooper, Sam Raimi Spider-Man, and Star Wars Battlefront. And this is, I mean, literally the only thing I'm missing now is Sly Cooper. I had Tobey Maguire back in No Way Home. Now I've got this. I'm gonna play through this on my PS5, have the platinum done in no time, and just play it every day. I'm so excited. I cannot wait for this. I need a physical. I need a physical desperately.
I pre-ordered it on Steam. I got a loyalty discount of $2 for owning the other Battlefronts. I wish they wouldn't have given me any discount. That's insulting. But I'm excited for it. And I guess let's not dwell on it too much because it's coming out in 5 days, and we'll talk about our impressions on it on the next show. You know, we're about to have our hands on.
Stubbs, were you about to say something about it? It looked like.
No, I mean, I don't have quite as strong a connection. That wasn't a pillar of my childhood, but I played a lot of Battlefront 2.
That's fair.
I'm probably going to feel FOMO when everyone starts talking about it. That's going to be the problem with Battlefront. I'm going to see everyone start talking about Battlefront and be like, and then want to fucking break down and pick it up.
That's fair.
Yeah, 64 player online, $35. You got me. You fucking got me. They also showed a shadow drop for a bunch of rare games, not the ones that you wanted, not Donkey Kong 64, but Killer Instinct and a couple others, including Blastcore for Nintendo 64. It was fun. I streamed all of those in one night and just kind of checked out a little bit of each of them. Nothing to write home about. The last thing they showed was a brand new Endless Ocean. Have you guys ever played Endless Ocean?
I'm not.
I feel like I did, but it also feels like a fever dream. So
yeah, it's like a weird Wii undersea exploration game. The big hook on this one is it got 12-player online. The only problem is it looks like it's going to be procedurally generated, so nobody really knows exactly what to expect for those environments and stuff. But it could be fun. It is a full price release of $49.99, but an interesting looking game for sure, and especially for the Switch, I think it could be a good fit. We'll see. On the heels of that, they announced a Pokemon Presents, which is a separate event that happened on February 27th. And that was an interesting Pokemon Presents. It's for the first time we were skipping 2 full years of mainline Pokemon games. Most of the content that was shown was stuff for like their mobile apps, Pokemon Unite, Pokemon Go, and Pokemon Cafe Remix, and Pokemon Sleep. But at the end, they had a teaser. They weren't without a game to show. We've got Pokemon Legends ZA. Pokemon Legends is coming in 2025. Not this year.
Oh, interesting.
But next year.
Fine. That's fine.
It is fine. And I'm really hyped about this.
Way,
I think it's actually not. Pokemon Legends for me
Kaulin.
is the best Pokemon. Correct.
I'm in control here.
In a very long time. Pokemon Legends, I loved that game. You guys know that. It was really high up on my list in 2022. I had a blast with that. And having another Legends game is really interesting. They went for it's Gen 5, right? Is that what it's based off of, Stubs?
6.
X and Y?
X and Y, which is
6.
Yes, X black and white is 5. Yep.
Got it. Makes sense. Which is really interesting. And the big tease at the end is that there's going to be mega evolutions in this game. Yeah, which is pretty interesting.
I'm happy to see Megas make a comeback.
There's some stuff that concerns me. What's the name of the city that it takes place in? It's the one that's modeled after Paris, right?
Luminos. Yeah, something like that.
We're on there. It's an interesting thing because they say that the entire game is going to take place in the area that encompasses Luminos City, and for me that was a little questionable. I wonder if they're going to like improve the scale of the city in a really big way versus what's in X and Y, because that's for all intents and purposes a very small environment, right?
No, I mean, that main city's the one that has like the big walk around area. It's got all the different alleys you can go in and out. It's really large. So if they're planning to, because they're also going to have the Legends explorable areas, right?
Okay, so that's what I'm wondering, is because it doesn't say that. Like, for me, the whole thing about Pokemon Legends was like exploring like the wilderness. And if you take this city and drop it in, it's one of the 5 areas maximum as far as like size and scope goes.
Yeah, I think it could be one of.
Yeah, okay. Then maybe nothing to worry about.
And that's where you
there.
get like Grimers and like poison types, like, and
sure.
Like rats and certain birds, like would spawn in the cities. Like city environment's not out of the question. Okay. I'm in agreement. Legends was my Legends Arceus was my number 3 game in 2022, right behind Elden Ring and Immortality.
Immortality is so good,
real good. It's absolutely it's not only is it the best Pokemon game in a long time, it's probably top 3 Pokemon games for me. It's probably like Soul Silver, Legends Arceus. I don't know. I don't know what number 3 is. Those are probably my 2 favorite Pokemon games, though. It's Soul Silver / Heart Gold, Legends Arceus. It's like, because Soul Silver, Heart Gold is just like, it's the epitome of classic Pokemon, and Legends is like the thing that did what Pokemon needed to do for a long time, shape things up and feel different and feel good still.
And then they did Scarlet and Violet, which was terrible.
I don't remember that. That was also a
Scarlet
fever dream.
Scarlet and Violet took some things and was informed by Legends. I feel like I was very adamant about that year of like giving credit to Legends and putting it above Scarlet and Violet and saying that it was like the biggest jump forward in Pokemon that's ever existed. And I think that it'll go down as
it's not hard to jump 2 inches.
For a little forgotten, you know, but I hope that it gets its flowers and that this series continues. I was ecstatic to see this. I mean, all said and done, outside of making the next like generation a mainline game that takes even more from Legends, the new Legends game is the best case scenario for a new announcement for me at a Nintendo Direct or a Pokemon Presents. So overall, very, very satisfied with their one big announcement being that announcement. Little blurb here, not much to talk about. Just behind the scenes, Project L from Riot Games has been renamed. It's now 2XKO, or I believe the X is going to be, it's like Hunter Hunter. It's not Hunter X Hunter. It's 2KO. Probably. What are you doing? You hopping on 2K? This is the tag team fighting game from Riot that looks a lot like a Marvel vs. Capcom 3 if you were looking at art style, and I think this game is going to be a very big deal. I think that they are taking the time that is required of it. I believe it's going to launch free to play using a very, very popular IP, and I think that it's on very few people's radars right now, and that it will be synonymous with the fighting game community and maybe even the general populace in the very near future. I think this game's going to be fucking gigantic. So this is the first time you're hearing us say the words 2XKO or 2KO. Don't forget it. You heard it here first.
I've never said it before, and I never will. I'm never going to say that name out loud.
Come back. All right. Hey, what's the name of that new fighting game? Okay, the Xbox partner preview happened just a couple days ago, and there's not that much to talk about. A lot of smaller games, but I love that Xbox is throwing their hat in the ring to have little events like this. It was on March 6th, and they showed off, I think, 14 games. Some big, some small. The biggest drops were probably Tales of Kenzera Zau, which we already talked about. Had a nice trailer there, probably closer to their launch trailer because that game is only about a month and a half away. We got a pretty deep look at the new Capcom game, which is really, really interesting looking. Have you guys seen this before? It's the one that they announced pretty recently that kind of people like mistook for Onimusha. What do you guys? It's Kunitsugami, I think, is the name of the game. Path of the Goddess. And it's got some really like crazy colors and visuals going on, in addition to some really nice like Capcom style hack and slash gameplay. It's on your radar at all, either of you? Okay.
It's too busy.
But it looks cool, and it looks like they have like some interesting stuff going on. It's not just hack and slash. There's actually going to be some like defending your area type stuff as well. They also showed off Frostpunk 2. Is this on your radars?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It will be. I still need to play Frostpunk 1.
Oh, yeah, you do.
I know.
Yeah, you do. Frostpunk 1
Take some time.
Is one of the greatest of all time, honestly. I love it. I have it on PC.
Oh, yeah.
Have it on PC and on console, and I play it pretty regularly. A couple other things I would like to talk about from this Xbox partner preview. The Stalker trilogy, the first time it's ever being put on consoles. Previously, it was only a PC thing. So it's currently out on PlayStation, Xbox, PC. So if you're into Stalker, that's really cool. I want to check that out at some point soon. And then there is the Persona 3 Reload Season Pass, which it's pretty much just bringing the expansion from the original game forward. It's weird when they remade Persona 3, they just remade the base game. They didn't bring the expansions with it. So Persona 3 Reload is equivalent to Persona 5, but we assume one day they're going to call it Persona 3 Reloaded, which will be equivalent to Persona 5 Royal. So This Persona 3 Reload is not yet the definitive experience of Persona 3.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's about it.
Partner preview. All right. We got something new for you. We have a new segment we're introducing. Stubs, I know about as much about this segment as you do. All I was told was a name and make a graphic for it. And let me tell you, when it came to making the graphic, I really hope that listeners will go to YouTube and check out the video version, because I really ate on Kaulin's Corner. Kaulin's Corner
So
is something special. But let's find out what it is.
yeah, so Colin's Corner, or Colleen's Corner, whatever you want to call it, it is pretty much my opportunity each show to throw something at Jake and the guests to spark a conversation of some sort. It could be anything. It could be video game related, something that we didn't talk about previously in the show, or it could be something completely outside the video game realm. So when I initially picked the topic for this Colleen's Corner, just as an example, to get things going, Stubs, I'm not sure if this will spark any conversation for you, so I apologize. But Jake,
Is the subject Tifa?
the subject is Kanye. I wanted to talk about his new album and what you were thinking. Yeah. So
Jesus Christ.
So this is just an example. It's not going to be the same thing every week or every month. It's going to be random things that I want to have a conversation about that maybe didn't fit somewhere else in the show. And sometimes maybe it'll be multiple small things. But I want to know what your thoughts are on his new album. And Stubs, if you have opinions, feel free.
Interesting. All right. You want to go first?
I would love you to go first.
All right. I listened to my first Kanye album this year, and it is not his most recent album. I didn't get into hip hop until about 10 years ago. And I got into a very limited slice of hip hop. I'm not into a lot of stuff. I'm very specifically into dense lyricism hip hop.
Okay.
I need dense wordplay.
Wait,
like
so
obviously
you want like Andre 3K or like
yep.
MF
A$AP Rock's probably my most listened to hip hop artist, because he just got it. He's so fucking
okay.
Yeah, a lot of early Eminem, or like good stories. Like but I like, if it's just just a good beat, like party rap doesn't do it for me. Like it's got to be something meaningful, or it's got to be like thoughtful, you know?
Yeah.
And I like the Kanye that I'd heard here and there didn't fit that bill for me, so I never really checked him out. I started doing this website with a friend group called 1001 Album Generator, and it just generates a single album for you that's like from like Rolling Stone's top 500s lists, and it's like, listen to this album every day and rate it and write your thoughts, and you compare with your group. And it was Kanye West's The College Dropout, and I really enjoyed that album. I didn't expect to like his work as much as I did, but that album hits that lyricism spot for me, even if it's not like super dense. Like it hits that emotional and real like level of hip hop that does come for me. So, but I haven't listened to his new album.
That album was super fucking important to me. Like I remember like late 2003, it came out in like early 2004, but late 2003 I heard Through the Wire, and I wasn't sure about Through the Wire. And I had a friend that got super into Kanye early and had the College Dropout shirt, and by the middle of 2004 it was all I fucking cared about. And it was like super influential at the time, just because, you know, they talk about Kanye and Touch the Sky back when they thought pink polos would hurt the rock. Like nobody had come out making songs like All Falls Down or Family Business before College Dropout. Like there were no like quote unquote what they would call like soft rappers, and Kanye was the first time that had ever happened, and it was something brand new to me. And then from 2004 up until these last couple of years, Kanye has been historically my favorite artist and really like the most like influential and important artist to me. Obviously it has been a real fucking tough time with him being an absolute like deplorable piece of shit for the last couple of years, especially as like a dude who's like completely Jewish. And I'm not even like religious or anything like that, but it just sucks to see anybody hate on like any group of people, which you see like a lot. And I like to think, because like I am a minority in some ways, like I have a soft spot for people being hated on for any type of, you know, difference that they have, whether that's something that they, you know, I think what I'm trying to say is like it sucks to see from my individual spot, but it would suck to see from any sort of like point of hatred, essentially.
Yeah.
So you can do art and not the artist and all that kind of things, but for me now at this point, like everything that I listen to from him comes with an asterisk, and even the old stuff too is tough to listen to in the same way that I once loved it. I took down the vinyls that were on my wall. It just becomes like a thing that I don't want to like. I'm almost like ashamed of. I still wear my Yeezys every day because I love the shoes, but it's a really tough situation having somebody who has that kind of disdain for people. You'd think that somebody who has been so different throughout his career and was hated on so much wouldn't have that much hatred in his heart, but he does. Either way, that album kind of fucks. And I listened to Vultures, and I did like a full listen through. It's actually up on my YouTube page, and it's so out of the ordinary for stuff that I actually like typically post, but I did like a full listening session on Twitch and on YouTube and then posted it, and it's been copyright claimed 6 ways to Tuesday and the whole 9 yards. But there's some absolutely like insane stuff on there, and I'm when it comes to like rap, I'm very lowbrow these days. Like my favorite stuff is like Lil Yachty, Lil Uzi Vert, Playboy Cardi. Like I like some stuff that people don't like, and this hits a lot of the notes that I definitely do like. So I'm pretty hot on Vultures in its entirety. The only problem is that I do find myself having like ebbs and flows of how much I even listen to music. Like music is historically a big part of my life, but I have like years where I listen to more music in 1 year than I did the 3 years prior, and this is a year that I haven't found myself listening to all that much music. So I've listened to the whole album a couple of times. I've listened to Carnival probably 10 times just because it gets me hype when I'm about to go do something active. But for the most part, pretty hot on the album, pretty sour on the artist.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Well, I actually when I started listening to the album, you said it got better as it went along. And at least for my taste, it kind of got worse as it went along. I really like Kanye's more, I don't know if R&B is the correct word for it, but more R&B, like chill, like more of a...
You like the soulful tracks.
Yeah.
Is usually what you classify the Kanye stuff as.
Yeah. So Stars, I liked Stars a lot right off the rip. Paid.
Yeah.
I think Beg Forgiveness was one of them.
Beg Forgiveness goes hard, yeah.
Yeah, but it definitely, like, I think I'm hitting the point for Kanye where it just does not hit like it used to. Like, I go back and I remember I was starting college when he released... I'm really bad at album names and stuff, but I was starting college when he released.
What year did you start college? I can help you.
Is it just Yay? Yeah, Yay, 2018. Yeah.
Oh,
so I hated Yay when it came out. I did not think it was that good, but as I go back and listen through his like catalog, I'm starting to enjoy his older stuff a lot more than I used to, and I just am not. His new stuff's just not hitting the same anymore.
No,
And I also have
all the new stuff.
Go ahead.
Pales in comparison.
Yeah.
I was gonna say all the new stuff pales in comparison. The only thing that I think rises above like the cream of the crop is like Kid See Ghost with Kid Cudi because of Kid Cudi's influence, probably.
Yeah, I actually have the vinyl.
Since Life of Pablo,
Ghost.
it's all been tough. Yeah.
Yeah. I have the similar but very different thing with you, Jacob. When so I'm pretty like openly Christian, and I really loved when Kanye was putting out his like Christian stuff, which I thought was really good. But as things have progressed with Kanye and he's gotten more and more crazy, it's definitely like hard to listen to that stuff because it's like you ain't feeling that way and hating Jews, you know? So it's like what I used to really enjoy, I used to love Jesus is King. I can barely listen to it now because it just feels like he's talking shit pretty much, I guess.
Yeah.
So
I don't like Jesus is King very much at all. I'd say it's probably his weakest project for me.
Yeah. Well, that's like, fair. It's...
Yeah, even without like the religious context, I just think it's just not what I want from that artist, you know, which is always a tough look. But for me, I've always had like the holy trinity of like favorite Kanye albums is like the original trilogy of like College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation is hugely important to me and formative to like what I enjoy for music.
Yeah.
But then I think he really hit his stride with that run of like 808s and Heartbreak, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and Yeezus are like my 3 top albums. And depending on the day, if I'm feeling sad, mad, or glad, you know, determines which one of those albums is my favorite.
Yeah. I think Yeezus is probably my least favorite album of his, and I don't know why.
Oh, yeah.
But I love Life of Pablo. I listen to that very often.
Yeah. I saw the Yeezus tour and I saw the Life of Pablo tour, and they were both pretty good. But the Yeezus tour was just on another level. He was wearing like masks and being just absolutely insane. For me, just had like the best set list, a lot of Yeezus stuff, but a lot of classics as well. Really good times.
Yeah. I also hate his the single from 2022, Easy, like the skinned monkey. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
No good.
But that's an example of Kaulin's Corner, where I present people
I like it.
with a random topic to spark some sort of conversation. It doesn't always have to be video game related. Some days it will be, some days it won't. But
keeps me on my toes.
Yeah, it's definitely just something different, something to throw a wrench in what we normally do.
Tune in next week to find out what kind of anti-Semite Kauline will bring to the.
yeah. Next week.
Hey, next week we're talking about our favorite Mel Gibson movie.
Starts with an H and ends with an R.
Oh my god, too wild.
This was
right.
I picked this a while ago. It's honestly because we do a show once a month. It kind of goes out of date pretty quickly, but I had this on the list of talking about the album because I haven't really had a chance to yet.
Yeah. No, I like it a lot. Let's run through the games that are coming out as we wrap things up here. We got a pretty strong rest of the month. We're recording this on the 9th. We have starting off with Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection. Yeah, everyone is hype on this. That's gonna be fun. I'll be streaming it. Kaulin, I'm sure you're gonna stream it. Wait, have you decided what you are going to be buying it for?
PlayStation. I'm getting the platinum.
Oh, okay.
I will be doing these games co-op with Allie. She's agreed to do a co-op YouTube playthrough with me. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah, it'll be her first time
them alone.
Hey, you know.
On the 18th, we get Hi-Fi Rush on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. PS5 exclusive for that. Not coming to Switch like people thought it was.
I don't think.
Which is interesting.
I don't know if the Switch could run it.
They'd stream it though. There's plenty of games that stream to the
true.
Switch.
That's
they could have
true.
done that.
They've got control on the Switch, so
I feel like maybe there's just too many eyes on. Like, I feel like if this was the 5th game coming out from Microsoft on Nintendo, they would go for the streaming thing. But I feel like maybe the headlines would be worse than they should be. Like, you can fuck up those streaming games on Switch pretty bad.
Yeah.
On the 20th, Alone in the Dark. All right, let's play a game. Guess on the date that we record the next episode of GameList. It'll be early April. What will the Metacritic score? What will the open critic score of Alone in the Dark be from critics?
77.9.
77.9.
64.
64. 58, baby.
Hold on, I'm writing this down. We're doing open critic scores.
I haven't been paying attention to anything. Does it look bad?
I don't know. I think something stinks on it. It got delayed pretty bad, but honestly, if I'm guessing low, it's probably gonna be really good because all I do is fuck up predictions.
That's true. So I feel good about my.
Can we repeat our scores? I've already forgotten.
77.9.
Oh,
because open critic goes.
I forgot.
Well,
what
at
I
least
said.
in fantasy critic, they get real granular. I said 52. 50
I
something.
think I said 54.
54.
I think I said 66.
You said 60 something.
I think so.
For sure.
Okay, cool.
It's too bad these aren't recorded and we couldn't go back and
there's no
verify
actual way to tell.
There's no way.
Correct. Nice work.
I got a note.
All right. Speaking of things going multi-platform, on the 21st, we get Horizon Forbidden West Definitive Edition, or whatever that is called on the PC that has
that's awesome.
all the good shit. The 22nd is the crazy day. Dragon's Dogma 2.
So excited.
Rise of the Ronin, and Super Princess Peach all at once. Really exciting. Expensive day for some.
Question. Okay, I'm doing Dragon's Dogma. Jake, are you doing Princess Peach?
Yeah.
Are you doing Rise of the Ronin as well, or are you out?
I think I'm more inclined to do Dragon's Dogma, but I'm not sold really. Like, I'm pretty close on Dragon's Dogma. If they starts getting crazy reviews, maybe I'll do it. I need to make sure that game is for me because I think it's going to be punishingly hard, and it might not be my jam. I'm playing it by ear.
Okay, that's fair. Stubs, what are you feeling that day?
I don't know. Probably of the three, probably Dragon's Dogma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
get
a character creator out for Dragon's Dogma right now, and it's supposed to be very, very in depth. So you can create
seen some
characters, your pawns, and then save them and have them ready for the main game.
Yeah, yeah. And they're doing some pretty cool stuff with that pawn system too. They have like some content creators like Krista, from Kitten Krista
Met
and
her.
Maximilian dude are going to be able to create pawns that you can put on there. Did you meet her? Oh wow.
Yeah,
Friend of the show.
I can't think about her without thinking about the conversation we had about 10 minutes prior to.
You want a little Stubs? We had a conversation on an episode of GameList a while back where we talked a lot about if Kit and Krista have ever hooked up, and then it was too long and we felt bad about the conversation, and then 2 weeks later Kaulin met them. It's like, oh, no.
Yeah, it was
Don't mention our podcast.
I have a picture with them. Yeah, they're really cool. They're
Truly
really chill, really chill.
On the 26th, South Park Snow Day comes out.
South Park Snow Day.
Are you gonna play that?
Yeah, I'll be playing it. Yeah.
All right.
I'm into South Park
so
now.
out on this. This game would have to come out and be like it's a 9.5 out of
Dude,
10 for me to play it.
It looks really bad. It looks like the worst of the South Park games. Why would you make a South Park game in 3D? But like,
okay, actually, that makes me want to play it, kind of.
Oh, well.
Now I'm in. I want it to be bad. If it's bad,
co-op.
maybe I'm
It's
in.
co-op. It's co-op. Get it on PlayStation. We'll play it together.
I'm going to give it a firm maybe. Last but not least, Pepper Grinder. Reverse this episode. An hour and a half to hear me talk about my opinions on that. Must play. Maybe my most anticipated of the month at this point. Pretty crazy. But hey, that's our show. Stubs, thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for
hanging
me
out with us for. Yeah. I mean, we must have broke 3 hours, right?
Yeah. It's where the recording's at 3:20 right now. It'll get.
We got some stuff to chop out.
Yeah. What a show.
Classic.
Good size.
You can find me, Jake Twitchin, on all platforms. Just go to amazingstreamer.com. I'm big brain and make that very easy for you. Kaulin, where can they find you?
Kauline _ KAULINE _ on YouTube and Twitter.
Oh, yes. Stubs, where are you at?
Friendly Fire Pod. Twitter and not Twitter. Well, I guess Twitter too. X, whatever you want to call it. Sure. Twitch and YouTube.
Yeah, I refuse to
Hell
call
yeah,
it.
there will be links below. Find us in one place. You'll be able to get directed to the right place if you want to find us elsewhere. Can't thank you enough for hopping in for a long one. Always a pleasure to have you. Always welcome back. Really, really dope insight. We would have had a lesser show without you for sure.
That's facts.
I can't wait to be back at the end of the year and say nicer things about Expeditions. And I will remember to let a few people know there's interest in a spoiler cast if they're interested.
For sure.
VII.
I need to talk more about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I actually haven't talked about it since the beginning of the podcast, and it's starting to eat away at me inside. So
that's why I brought it up. I could see it in your face.
Speak to my cat next to me about it. I'm losing my mind. All right. That's it for the show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing and finding us on different platforms and pressing buttons that make our brains feel good. Okay, bye.